Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Lucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men. We will graduate players. And we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Been in college baseball for a while now, but I've never experienced anything like 12th man.
The other schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
this one's special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
The epitome of what this team has done, right? Gavin homers, Jace homers, Braden homers, Chris Cortez, 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Seven Aggies, chosen all SEC selections. We'll talk about the first team, second team, and the freshman team. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We call it the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm David Nuño, and Sleepy OB?
No, good.
Happy OB.
Happy OB today.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
What's going on?
You know, I know we're going to get to it, but it just struck me that, you know, I don't know the SEC baseball inside and out like Broniger and Richard Zane, because I don't cover it on a daily basis. But
they don't know grammar like you do, AP style.
Heck no. Anyway.
Be a good show.
There must be some hellacious pitchers in the SEC if Ryan Prager is a second-team All-SEC.
How many pitchers get picked for that? I think one, right? Is it one?
No,
I think three starters.
Three starters, okay.
I could be wrong.
3 starters per Nick. Okay, three starters.
I'm sure there's more than one. Okay. But so I'm just saying.
I understand one guy.
I'm not saying they're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there must, but because I can't go through the list and know. I mean, I know the guy from Arkansas,
Hagen Smith. I'm going to go to Richard Zane's text from yesterday because he was he kind of broke some things down from a stats perspective. Just at home, Ryan Prager at home, and by the way, he was pretty good on the road too.
Yeah.
8 starts, 6-0, 49 innings, 31 hits, 7 runs, 5 earned runs, 6 walks, 67 strikeouts, a .92 ERA.
Yeah, I know that like he didn't win at LSU, but it wasn't because of him.
Right.
You know, I mean, the guy has been amazing. 8-1, 2.47 ERA.
Richard just texted me and said it's 2 starters and 1 reliever on each team.
2 starters, 1 reliever.
I'm still saying. Again, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying there must be some really good pitchers if he's.
They're wrong. I mean, that could be
because I don't even know who the other guy is. I'm sure the Arkansas guy is. I don't even know who the other guy is.
But kind of like with football, that's fine. Whatever. Let's see who's the last man standing, right?
You know, at the end of the day, really, I hate that phrase in here. I just used it because we're at the beginning of the day. But at the end of the day,
for you've been up for like 6 hours there.
Not today. Yeah, because I was so tired from the night before. So, but anyway, first, second, even if there's a third team, you just he's all conference,
right?
So that's all that matters.
Well, let me go through the all SEC selections: Jackson Appel, Evan Oshenbeck, Jace Lavalette, and Braden Montgomery, first team honors. Kind of expected those, yeah. And then Ryan Prager, second team. And then the all-freshman team, Gavin Grohovic and Caden Sorrell, which I think Brody called that last week. He goes, Caden Sorrell's going to be on there. We all knew Gavin would be. And then both Lavalette and Braden Montgomery, all defensive team nods.
So do they make it that you can't make all SEC if you're a freshman? Because, I mean, I know Grohovic struggled a little bit late, but the year he put together.
Put together a phenomenal year. Look at Jackson Appel's year. What a year. Evan Oshenbeck, 5-1, 1.8 ERA. Yeah. He was Mr. Reliable for them.
Awesome.
He was Mr. Reliable last year, even better this year.
Yeah, he's really good, man. Glad he's on our team.
Yeah, no, it's fun to watch this team. Now it gets real. And by the way, I've been listening and reading. A&M can still be the overall number 1 seed. Still possible. I
probably have to
win a couple games in Hoover.
You
know, it's possible. You could use some help too, but if you win a couple of big, they're number one in the RPI. Richard Zane in the house. Hi, Richard.
Nick, am I on?
You're not on yet, and now.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, buddy.
Just to close the book on the Ryan Prager first team discussion, the first team starting pitchers were Hagen Smith, the SEC Pitcher of the Year, and then Mississippi State's Cal Stevens. If you want to know how good Ryan Prager is, Mississippi State held Stevens back to pitch Saturday so it wouldn't be Prager versus Stevens on Friday night at Bluebell Park. That's how much respect Chris Lemonis had for what I believe to be the rightful second first-team All-SEC starting pitcher in Ryan Prager.
The guy who went toe-to-toe with the guy who is the SEC Pitcher of the Year.
Yes. And well, actually,
and won.
And well, he didn't win, right? They both got no decision.
The Aggies won.
The Aggies won, but Prager did last 7 innings versus the 6 that Smith threw. But
Prager, you're the guy.
He deserved it.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you, buddy.
Later.
Hey, and by the way, do you agree? If a couple wins in Hoover, they could potentially still be the number 1 overall seed?
Yeah, I mean the RPI is there for sure, and any more wins that you get in Hoover, right? You're already at 19 and 11. You get to that 20-win plateau in conference, 21-win plateau in conference. It's only going to help your strength of schedule continue to grow and get better. Because I know, I believe Kentucky's got a better strength of schedule than A&M. I think Arkansas does too. But I mean, not that A&M played a slouch of a schedule in the non-con at all.
Right.
But there's chances for that resume to continue to increase and build. So they've got options. There's certainly stuff to play for. Just as Schlossnagle said, at the right pace.
At the right pace. All right. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you. This is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of mornings by going to texags.com/coffee and get yourself some TexAgs coffee. OB, I have a question for you. I was watching at the gym yesterday doing my cardio, and I believe it was NBA TV was on.
Okay.
Some NBA show, and it was saying, is Ant-Man now the face of the NBA? I think they used that voice. I don't know if they did.
Ant-Man?
Yeah, Anthony Edwards, the Minnesota Timberwolves. He can't be because most people can't pick him out of a lineup. He's fantastic, and he is one of the stars.
I remember seeing him play here against for Georgia.
But people don't I don't think he's a household name yet.
Right.
So, but that brought up a question. Who is the face of college football entering the 24 season? If there was a face, and it could be a coach, it could be a player, and then I want to kind of target A&M on both sides of the ball. Who's the face? Okay, so we'll go college football. In your opinion, who is the face of college football entering the 2024 season?
Greg Sankey.
Yeah.
I mean, he's powerful, for goodness sakes. But I'm not, listen, typically, I think you would say in college, you'd typically say a coach because the players, like all college sports, they're gone so fast.
Yep.
But now that it's not Nick Saban and Dabo's struggling.
Is it Kirby?
Yes. Kirby Smart.
Kirby Smart's the face of college football right now.
He's the haircut of college football.
That he is. So that's from a coach's perspective.
I think. Now, if you want me to say a player.
Let's think of a player. It's got to be a quarterback. And I don't know if there is one. No, it doesn't have to be. Like, I don't think it's Carson Beck. I mean, it might be.
I'm not a handsome man. But if Carson Beck, never mind. I'm gonna
Georgia, we're gonna make that a social media clip and have Georgia come after OB.
But if Carson Beck is the face, then it's a beautiful face of college football.
Is that Quinn Ewers?
No.
Is there a player right now? I mean, we're gonna have to wait for it to emerge. But is there a player in college football that you would say is the face? I don't think there is right now.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I can't think of somebody that's
like the last couple years.
They would have said Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams, you could argue, is the face of college football, right? Not only did he win the Heisman, he was expected to repeat. But right now, like the big names, Quinn Ewers is one of the names because he's on the cover of EA of the college football game. You can certainly say Carson Beck. Any of the Michigan players? No, I don't know. If you're not guaranteed to be the starter midway through the season.
Gosh, that's a good question.
I don't know if there is one.
Yeah, but I don't think it has to be a quarterback, and yet I just can't think of, who's the dominant defensive player.
Yeah.
Right? Who's the dominant running back? There are no dominant running backs anymore. Great wide receiver, just nobody sticks out to me. So,
Donovan Edwards.
What does Donovan Edwards look like?
I couldn't pick up. It's the same Ant-Man thing, right? I can't pick him out of a lineup.
Right.
I'm only.
Well, if you're talking to the NBA, why is it your 3-time MVP?
Luka? Not Luka, excuse me. Jokic.
Yeah.
Jokic. I don't know, because he's unassuming and doesn't talk, maybe.
But he's definitely easy to pick out.
He's definitely easy to pick out. Or Giannis.
Giannis or Luka.
But let's be honest. Luka could become, if the Mavs go on this run and they win the NBA championship, he's an international star. He could be the face of the NBA, no doubt.
But you just described Jokic.
But I think Luka's got more of a personality. I think that maybe it shouldn't matter.
Does either one of them have a personality?
Well, compared to the Joker, Luka's got a great personality.
Okay. It's not Luka, it's not Jokic, and we're gonna eliminate LeBron James and Steph Curry
because they're grandpas.
So who would it be?
I think he's Giannis.
Yeah, I would know him before I would know Ant-Man.
Now, Ant-Man may go on this great run, win an NBA championship. He's got a cool personality.
I heard somebody talking on the radio with an NBA expert recently, like in the last week, and it was that woman who's on with Chris Canty and some other belligerent guy before our show, and they were talking, and she says, well, how would you compare Anthony Edwards to Michael Jordan? He goes,
you can't compare.
That's what the guy said.
Just stop.
And I'm like, if somebody has a good year or two, it's always want to go there. And you're like, man.
Just don't even go there. Like, it's just stupid.
You know who might be the face of the NBA right now?
Who's that?
Charles Barkley. I know he doesn't play, but does anybody draw more attention to it than Charles Barkley with his show and stuff like that?
Inside the NBA, right, with he and Shaq together. It was great before Shaq joined them, but I think that combo together was great. Nobody on the Celtics comes up, right?
Man, I couldn't even tell you who's on the Celtics. Robert Williams.
Is he still there?
I think so.
Well, from a football perspective, let's get it back.
Okay, back to where
the face of A&M's offense.
The face of A&M,
Connor Wigman. Like, that's easy, right?
Yeah.
And I think nationally, that would be like when you think of A&M and a player, people would say Connor.
Who's the face of the A&M defense?
Torian York.
More so than Shamar Turner.
I think so.
Okay. Bryce Anderson.
I think so.
Okay.
Because of personality. Not saying that Shamar Turner doesn't have a great personality, but I think Torian is a little bit more out there. Had a phenomenal freshman year. I might be wrong here. They're all. I mean, Bryce Anderson is a freaking stud, as Shamar Turner and Stewart are.
And
by
I think
the way,
he's going to be even better when they leave him at safety where he's.
But after having a freshman campaign the way Torian did, after being named the captain.
I'll predict. You know who the face of the defense will be? Maybe the whole team by the end of the year.
Nick Scorton. He might be.
Because people, it's defense, you like sacks.
Look at this.
He has a lot of sacks appeal.
Look at you. Look at Nick Savage, though. Like, we're talking Torian York, he brings it up.
I haven't got a smile out of Cali for that one.
So the face.
He's a sax maniac.
I'm just going to run through the stop sign. All right. The face of college football, you said it was Greg Sankey. But if it had to be a player on the offensive, or it'd be Kirby Smart, excuse me.
Kirby Smart.
On the offensive side, or for.
And Kirby Smart or the beautiful Carson Beck.
The beautiful Carson Beck. And then for NBA, we decided it's going to be Giannis. The easy one. Who's the face of Major League Baseball?
For me, it's Corey Seager.
How about globally? Shohei?
Yeah.
He's the face.
I guess.
What other sport is there? With NFL, who is the face of the NFL?
It's no longer Brady. Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Face of golf?
The face of TexAgs.
Billy Lucci.
Yeah. TexAgs has a scraggly goatee,
Good
needs a
hats.
haircut.
Yeah, he's your boss. Just a quick reminder.
Yeah, I'm safe. I'm safe.
Okay.
Yeah,
you weren't invited to the meeting yesterday.
Yeah, well, that's because I don't need to be. Yeah, here's all I need to know. You cut me loose. All right, it's midnight on a Friday night, Saturday night. Lucci's partying in Houston, and he just remembers who's going to let the dog out.
Who let the dog?
Who's he going to call?
Olin Buchanan.
That's right.
Maybe Callie Gardner.
I'm golden.
All right. If you want to weigh in on that, 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150. Who's the face of college football? Who's the face of A&M's offense? Who's the face of A&M's defense? And any other sport if you want to jump in on there. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people. Nick Savage, who was quick on the button to put the right videos up. Good morning.
Howdy. Good morning. That was actually Kay Nagley who cut all those for me, and we're working on expanding the B-roll Rolodex. But anyways, face of A&M's offense, I think it's
Connor.
It has to be Connor. Yeah. There's I don't.
Who would be second?
Moose. Last year it might have been Anais, but now
last year Anais was the face.
Yeah.
But
Anais and Edge. Okay, you have to. I would say.
Is it one of the running backs?
No, I would say Noah Thomas.
Okay.
Because of who was outside of the quarterback, and quarterback, or even throw out the score. Who's the most productive guy?
Le'Veon Moss.
I think. I think that Noah was more productive even than Le'Veon Moss.
Anybody on the offensive line?
Zoom. But I don't.
Yeah.
I think you want. First of all, offensive linemen are faceless anyway.
Right.
And
I don't know. Le'Veon Moss.
That offensive line was.
I think Le'Veon
was defaced.
Could have a claim there. What else is going on, Nick?
Oh, nothing much. I was just going to say defensively, it has to be Torian York, in my opinion. That would be the face of the A&M defense for me.
That's not an issue, but I wouldn't say it has to be because there were people, at least midway through the year of last year, saying that Shamar Turner was the best player in college football on defense.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Hey, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We've got Callie Gardner there. Callie, I'm sure you're aware, yesterday we had a national championship parade on the show, a radio version of it. Can we do it again today?
Yes, we can. Adela Cernosik became the first individual national champion in program history yesterday after shooting 12 under 276 through stroke play at the 2024 NCAA Championships, which is just really impressive. She won the tournament by 3 strokes over the 2024 Augusta National Women's Amateur Champion Lottie Wood of Florida State. And she shot par yesterday to secure the individual title after coming into the round with a 6-shot lead over her. So,
that's fantastic. We were monitoring
really awesome.
that. And A&M, I think, what are they? One stroke behind Stanford, is that right?
Right now,
they finished yesterday 1 stroke behind Stanford, right?
They're the 3 seed.
3 seed?
Yeah, and they'll take on UCLA today.
It was Max Wright.
Max Wright was the face.
He was the face of the offense last year.
And the voice.
I know. He was always
great.
there.
He was great. He was all. Hey, Donovan Green could, if a healthy season, could be somebody we're talking about quite a bit.
Yeah, he's married now too.
That's right. I saw that. Congratulations to Donovan. What else, Callie?
So we kind of already covered the SEC
honors.
Honors, but Nick, if you could throw Ryan Prager's stats back up there. I looked up the Mississippi State pitcher stats. And he has a 3.25 ERA, which I know is higher than Ryan Prager's. He was 8-3 on the year. He pitched 83 innings, 93 strikeouts, and 19 walks. So
like in every metric possible, Prager was better.
Yeah.
And they ducked Prager.
Yeah.
Who votes for this? Because I didn't get a vote.
I don't know. They probably have a committee.
Freaking stupid committees.
Not really sure on that one.
Yeah,
but,
it's like going to meetings.
Yeah. But I mean, as long as we might have a chance to face Mississippi State tomorrow night, and odds are we won't face him, but it's possible. So
I saw in one of the regionals, Mississippi State would be the 2 or 3 seed coming here. Am I right? Did I see that correctly?
The one I saw, it was the 2th seed at the
regional,
at the opposing regional.
Yeah,
so if they beat Indiana State, which again was all like speculation, projected, but that would be interesting too to see them again here in Bluebell Park. And And then Braden Montgomery and Jace Lavalette were announced yesterday as semifinalists for the 2024 Golden Spikes Award. And just to talk on that for a second, that is fan voting incorporated into the overall award. So you can vote on the goldenspikesaward.com, and it is open now, and they will announce the finalists on June 5th, and there will be fan voting again for that. So we can all play a part in if there's an Aggie.
There's fan voting and Aggies know about it, we win.
Yeah.
That's
true.
How it works.
That's true. There's a lot of us. So
a lot of it,
and they're active,
and we're passionate.
Yeah, we care. We care. We do care.
What else?
Yes, we know Aggie softball heads to Austin this weekend to take on the top-seeded Texas in a super regional with a trip to the Women's College World Series on the line. You can't write up a better story than that. So hopefully our Lady Ags can get it done. I know Kay talked about it yesterday. If y'all are in Austin this weekend, head over and support our Aggies. And just one more recap at the weekend. We had an insane weekend in Aggie Land. I was thinking about it. I don't know if I can remember, in my time at least, a stretch of 5 days where we had something awesome happen like that every single day. But yeah, baseball took the series from Arkansas, run rolling them on Saturday, which this was their first time being run rolled all year. We won a softball regional and a run roll on Sunday. Finished third in women's stroke play at the NCAA golf tournament. Had an individual golf champion for the first time. Won a national championship in women's tennis. Had 2 individual players advance to the second round, which we forgot to talk about that too. But Mary Stoyana is advancing to the second round in the national championship individually in women's tennis, and that will start today too.
She didn't even get to fishing.
Nope.
Bass fishing and archery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there was another one.
There was another one. Yeah. Was it like online gaming or something?
Yeah, I think we won.
We beat
Our
Texas.
esports team dominates.
They beat Texas.
So even our dorks are better than everybody else.
That's pretty good. All right, we're gonna hit a break on that one because I like dorks listening to our show because we work in sports media. We are the biggest dorks there are.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. All right. If you're a dork or an organization looking to engage with other Aggies, check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during awesome events throughout the year. Marquee events like Aggie Rain Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, The Gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests. There are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of all those attendees. All these events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. And these options include title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence, activation, recognition, and social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with other Aggies, choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please visit sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studios. The Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. So somebody on the YouTube page, by the way, subscribe on all that good stuff on the YouTube page, brought up Travis Hunter as being maybe the face of college football. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. I know he's great. Could you make an argument that Deion has inserted himself?
No. Because you got to be somewhat successful.
Right.
And I think the I'm not going to say he's a failure, but the jury's definitely out. And it appears, again, I look at it as a curiosity, but it appears he's brought more turmoil to that program than stability.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens this year.
And
what's he going to do when his kids aren't playing there anymore?
Maybe this whole thing was to get his son as the top 5 pick in the draft, and he's orchestrated it all. And then, he's like, I realize I don't really like college football. I'm going to go back to coaching AAU.
I think he likes coaching. I do. I'll give him that. But by the way, I think the jury's really out on how good a quarterback his son is, too.
Yeah, but he gets a lot of hype, doesn't he?
Yeah, just like Bronny James.
Yeah.
But is it based on what you do or is what your dad did?
Based on your name.
And I know he's put up some stats, but I'll say it again. You tell me the the Pac-12 quarterback last year that didn't put up gaudy stats. Ugalele was a massive failure at Clemson with all that talent around him. He goes to Oregon State. All of a sudden, he's reborn. And now he's back in Florida State.
We're about to find out.
Yeah.
We're about to find out. Let's do our performance of the week.
Okay.
And I think we should actually start off with women's tennis, don't you think? Like just
Sure.
the team overall, the Dreamweavers. They brought a national championship to this.
You can't top that.
You can't.
It's a national championship.
And we should celebrate it every day this week. And I need to reach out to Coach Weaver to get it. Do that again.
Woo woo! I'm celebrating.
Can you zero in on that?
Woo woo! I'm raising the roof.
That was 1994.
That's the last time I celebrated.
That's the last time the Cowboys won?
No, it was 1995. 94, though, was the last time Aggie football went undefeated. Woo woo!
Why do you sound like
I don't know.
A lady who's having her bachelorette party? Like, that's what you sound like when you do that. You look like a bachelorette party.
I thought you were going to say who was having a baby. Like, ah! Anyway.
Is that a dead bird?
Were you in the room when your children were?
All of my children, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Not when your children were, but when
No,
mine.
that would be weird.
Yeah, when mine
Dr.
were.
Olin?
Yeah, we were there, right there, calling it just like a...
In a few years, we'll be working together again. Anyway, so we'll go women's tennis.
Outstanding.
How about...
and I have to admit, I couldn't tell you any of the names of the girls.
Mary Stoyana, Carson Brandstein, they're all great. How about yesterday, women's golf, Adela Cernasek?
Amazing.
Just a solo national championship. Women's golf still has a chance. We got to give Adela her props.
Yeah, outstanding. She's from France, is that right?
I believe that is correct.
That's correct.
And then...
Oui.
Do you want to give one? Do that again.
Oui. That's yes in France, right?
You're really close to the roof, by the way.
There's so many people.
You want to give one to a baseball pitcher potentially?
Which one?
The one from Thursday night. You can
Prager.
go Evan Aschenbeck.
Awesome Beck.
Awesome-Beck is great.
Prager.
Look at those stats just from the other night.
How about Chris Cortez this weekend?
How about 8 strikeouts?
Got
out of a
so
jam.
that's why I have to say which one.
But I think we go with the ace.
And you know what? You know who I have to admit, I'm a fanboy. I'm a fanboy for Sorrell in left field with that glove.
How can you not be? I'm going to do it in an NBA one, all right? And it's going to be 2 because I love these guys. I love one of them. Luka and Kyrie. Game 6. They're down. Is it down 18, I believe it was?
17, I think.
17. Roaring back. Kyrie Irving, I don't think scored in the first half. Had 22 in the second half. And Luka he looks like he's been beat up by a gang, right? Like just beat down, and he still continues to dominate.
Yeah, they're getting good play out of this. P.J. Washington's kid we saw him playing for Kentucky here.
Yeah.
He's a role player, but man, he's playing really well in his role.
And now I don't watch enough Stars, but give him props to
I
the
couldn't
Dallas
tell you
Stars.
one player on the Stars.
I keep up with it, and I watch a little bit of it. I got too many things going on in life to stop and watch the hockey game.
I'm still rooting for Madonna.
Yeah, Mike Madonna, Brett Hall. That's Brendan Morrow. Hitchcock. What was the
Norm Hitchcock.
No,
Alfred.
No. What was the coach's name?
Ken
Hitchcock. There you go.
Who's Norm Hitchcock? I was thinking Norm Hitchcock.
Woo
woo.
What'd you have this morning?
I don't know. I didn't even have a Monster.
Oh my god. Champagne?
I slept well.
Yeah.
For the first time in a long time.
Wow. I'll have what he's having. Harry met Sally. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll come back. Charean Williams is going to join us. I'm sure she'll have some thoughts on what's going on with women's tennis and all Aggie sports. Right now, ground shuttle time. Offer frequent and reliable shuttles from Bryan College Station to Bush Intercontinental Airport. So if you want to get there and not pay for parking, not worry about traffic, and not even know where you're going to park, because half the time when we go there, we're like, are we going to park right next to the terminal? No, we can't. We got to park in Afghanistan. That's what happens sometimes. But with ground shuttle, you get right there. And at a fraction of the cost, if you're going there, especially with the parking, they're fantastic out there. You can enjoy the ride, catch up on work emails, read a book while while the driver's taking care of you to get you there to Bush Intercontinental Airport. It is right next to Casa de Brazil in South College Station. Get dropped off at your office or utilize for convenient, secured on-site parking for free for the first 4 days. They run 9 shuttle times on weekdays every hour and a half and 5 shuttle times on the weekends every 2.5 hours. It's really good for business travelers, commuters. If you got college kids that are trying to get home and not worry about driving, have them do it right now. And of course, they can take you with their charter service anywhere in Texas, door-to-door service. The website's easy, groundshuttle.com. That's groundshuttle.com. You can call them up, 855-303-4415. That is 855-303-4415. Ground Shuttle, let them do the driving. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Olin Buchanan, David Nuño here. I didn't tell the people the date, OB, so I don't know if they know. They probably don't even know. Today's
21st?
Yeah, Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, if they didn't know that. Let's go to the hotline. Charean Williams, Pro Football Talk. Great Aggie joining us here, the Hall of Famer. Charean, good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. I bet you're doing fantastic for multiple reasons. One of those, this awesome few days of Aggie sports.
It's been fun. Probably, I tweeted last night, probably the best 5 days in Aggie sports history over a 5-day span. I know track won men's and women's titles within a day of each other. That was a good 2-day span. But considering all the sports and what we did, it was an exciting weekend. I got to go to the Thursday night baseball game, which was thrilling, and then that just kind of started the roll of all the sport. And I'm just so happy for Mark Weaver and how he's put that program together. One of my very favorite coaches, and he's built such a great program, and to see them finally win it was just outstanding. As one of them say, I don't know who it was, I was just reading through quotes, we were going to let Georgia beat us the 4th straight time, so I thought that was pretty cool.
But this is the way it's supposed to be. Not necessarily the national championships, but this is the way it should be at A&M, right? You should be contenders in everything. And maybe that's what we're seeing it finally come together.
Yeah, I just wrote a story on Trev Albert that's going to run in 12th Man Magazine sometime at the end of the summer. And now I'm going to have to rewrite it, fortunately, because I put in there, it hasn't been what Aggie fans should expect. They should expect more than 13. It was 13 before the latest one, so now 14 national championships in the NCAAs, plus what Equestrian has done. I mean, you should just expect more than that. We should expect to be contenders every single year. You're not going to win it every single year, but we should expect that. And it just shows with what women's golf and women's tennis have done, what a difference a really good coach makes. And they've done that, and they've managed to put their programs in title contention every year that they've been here, and I think that's outstanding. And one of the things I wrote, Olin, was this is the first time that when one of the border regents, Jay Graham, pointed this out and gave me a quote about it, is that it's really the first time that the president, the AD, and the coaches have been in alignment. In other words, all the right people are in the right places. It's all been one-off at some point every single time, it seems like. And at least the first time in a long time that we have the right president, the right AD, and then the right coaches, it seems like in every sport to win and contend, and I think that's the way it should be. That's what we should expect. I mean, it's just we have the money, we have the resources. You should expect national champion type teams every single year in every sport.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear. Well, let's talk Dallas sports for a moment then, because you got a couple that could win the championship this year. Uh-oh.
Well, I just wanted to ask, I know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
And what I want to ask, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, take over. I like it.
But here's something I don't want to ask you directly, Charean. Yes, David's talking about, hey, the Rangers won the World Series.
Here we go.
The Mavericks are going to the Western Conference Finals. Who knows? They might win an NBA championship. The Stars are going to their conference finals?
Conference finals.
Maybe they'll win it. Yeah. Do you think this bothers Jerry Jones and the Cowboys at all?
I don't know. He reads everything, so maybe. And, the Cowboys have been the butt of jokes up here. I just wrote a post yesterday about how they've become the butt of jokes. Now, they're going to be I saw somebody tweet, the Cowboys are now the fourth. Cowboys aren't the fourth team. The Cowboys are the number one team. They're always going to be the number one team. It's probably Jerry Jones' greatest accomplishment that they've gone 28 years without a championship and yet have managed to remain America's team. They truly are America's team. They're the most valuable team, according to Forbes, in the world, and they're the most watched team, according to Nielsen ratings. So you can't say they're not the most popular team. They're not only the most popular team in the FW, they're the most popular team in the United States. In the entire nation, they're the most popular team. So it's an amazing achievement that he's been able to accomplish. So without winning a title. Like you've kept yourself relevant for all these years without another championship. The last in 1995, which is more than 10,300 days ago, if you're keeping count. And I didn't keep count. I saw somebody else posted the number, did the math on that. So, I think he probably reads it, and maybe it bothers him a little bit, but probably not enough to go and do anything about it. I think they like making money. I think they like being relevant, and they know they're relevant whether they win or not. And I've gotten the feeling that, yes, he wants to win, but he doesn't want to pay the price that it takes to win. And I think that's where they are right now. They didn't do anything in free agency. They haven't re-signed the players they need to sign to extensions, not re-sign, but sign to extensions. They have 3 of them out there who are going to reset the market at their positions, and they need to get moving on that. And they haven't done that. And it's way late, and the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost.
Can you rank the owners in Dallas-Fort Worth professional sports 1 to 4? Sorry, I might have caused you off balance on that one. I don't even know who owns the Rangers anymore.
I guess you would go Rangers because they've just won a championship, and their farm system's outstanding, and the players they've brought up, and they look like they're going to be contenders for a long time, despite some of their struggles this season, staying at 500 or right above 500. But they just look like a team that's going to be a consistent winner. And then, I guess, is it too early to decide on the Mavs' new ownership? He was still involved, but he's not actually the owner yet. So I guess you'd go Stars maybe 2, and then Mavs 3, especially the Stars, how many times they've been in the Western Conference Finals. I think 3 times over the last 5 years. I'd probably go Stars 2 and Mavs 3 and Cowboys 4 at this point. I mean, it's just not getting to a conference championship game, to me, that makes you 4th in what you do. And the other 3, at least 2 of them have been consistent winners, and the other one has a World Series. In the one year they were really good and look like they're going to be good for a long time. So I think however you want to order it, Jerry's 4th.
Yeah, you'll put him in front of the Wings.
Yeah. and MLS team.
Hey, FC Dallas, they're good. Hey, Charean, last thing for you. Any takeaways from the NFL schedule? Texans get that Christmas game. The Cowboys obviously all over primetime.
Yeah, I think that was it. And kind of when I was on my rant about the Cowboys staying relevant, that's part of it. Is when you look at this team, it certainly doesn't look like a Super Bowl contender. It may not even be a division contender. And it's a very tough schedule, and yet they still they tie for the most primetime games and the most standalone games. Everybody wants to see the Cowboys, and they're going to watch the Cowboys. So, it's nice to see the Texans not playing all noon games this year. They're finally getting their rewards from what they did last season, what C.J. Stroud did, and I think they're going to be very good this year. I'll say this. I do think that it's going to be difficult. They play in the AFC. They have to get by Patrick Mahomes. But I do think the Texans will win a Super Bowl with C.J. Stroud, and I think they'll do it before the Cowboys win one.
Charean Williams, Pro Football Talk, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys.
All right, when we come back, OB. So people have been commenting on you this morning. There's some comments.
Oh.
Okay. No, not bad.
I was just kidding, Carson.
There's been some comments about just, whatever you had this morning to get you started, all right? Mushrooms or whatever, right? But we're going to have another OB quoteism when we come back, all right?
Okay.
We're going to have you pronounce something.
All right.
Then we're going to hear the proper pronunciation.
All right.
All right. So we'll do that on the other side of the break. Right now we're talking Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. When you go to that website, you'll see the selection of vehicles that they have on there, right? And they change that selection all the time, so you'll be able to see, I want that Tahoe, I want this car, I want that car. You'll be able to do that, get a feel for the vehicles, get a feel for the pricing. Then you're going to go there to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. I'm telling you what you're going to do because it's part of the ad. But when you get there, you're going to see the vehicles that they have. You're going to get to test drive them. You're going to experience the amazing customer service, and you're going to see the great trade-in value you'll get for your car. That's all part of the process when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet, who are number one when it comes to customer service, taking care of their customers and making sure that you get the right deal for you at the right time there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. It's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes, the very edge of Bryan, to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and you do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. So our favorite listener, John in Cyprus, big fan of the show, huge fan, says people watch Cowboys because they love to watch them fall and lose.
Yeah, there's part of that. Yeah.
No, there is. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. How do you say the Tennessee quarterback's name?
I'm leaving on a jet plane. I don't know. I'm a lever.
We're going to figure it out because apparently he pronounced it recently.
Oh, okay.
So for people, he's actually done it a couple different times. I found, so Chris Gordy tweeted this. We're going to have Chris on the show in a little bit. Apparently, Nico saying it. I want you to listen to what the tweet is. Here we go.
Oh, Nico Maleava, and we had Long Beach Pop.
I have no idea what it is.
Sorry, sir. What was that?
Oh, Nico Maleava, and we had Long Beach Pop.
You want to try?
I don't even know what he said after his name. We're on Long Beach.
We're on Long Beach. Try it.
Emalia.
So I wrote it out phonetically. Well, you know what?
Ramalama Ding Dong.
Okay. Is it 16 candles? Let's go to a different version of Nico saying it because he slows it down.
Yeah, if he slows it down.
He slows it down.
It was just too fast.
What up, y'all? I'm Nico Maleava, and
that's
the correct way to pronounce my last name is Iya Maleava.
Iya Maleava.
Iya Maleava. I will say this. I always have trouble with the Polynesian names.
Iya Maleava.
Gabe had to work with me to be able to pronounce TUE Tagovailoa.
I still struggle with that one.
Tagovailoa. I just gave up. I say TUE. And Gabe worked with me to get that right. Iya
Male
of
Va. That's gonna. I'm never.
Iya Mala Ava.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I'm leaving on a jet plane.
DJ Ugalule.
Ugalele. I just you know what I've learned about the Polynesian names. I don't mean to be mean about this. It's just because I struggle with them.
Yeah.
And I reckon a lot of people do. Just say them fast.
That's what he did on the first video, and we're like, huh?
But you know, what's your name? DJ Ugalala. Oh, okay.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Or if you're saying it, because at least you sound like
if you say it fast and you kind of say it quietly, people they don't know.
Ima Mayavula. See, I've already messed it up.
Nico.
Hey, Nico.
Ia Male Ava. Ia Male. I'm gonna have to practice.
EA
memory.
Sports.
EA Sports.
EA Ma.
It's in the game.
If EA Sports, they still around?
Yeah.
They need to give him an NIL deal.
Well, yeah, they should. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I know we got some more text messages. Callie, what do we got?
Yeah, we had one guy that said we were talking about like face of college football. He said if you ask the national media, they'd probably say yours because they love the SIPs, which I 100% agree with that.
They do seem to really like it. And you know what pisses me off?
No.
Well, a lot of things, but in this particular instance, do you think it's just a coincidence that Texas in their first year in the SEC if you look at their schedule, got about as favorable a schedule as you can get.
But then when you talk to SIPs about it, they'll be like, we're playing Michigan. They won the national championship. We got Georgia coming to town, bro.
Yeah, you got them coming to town.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Because, look, you're going to play somebody good. It's the SEC. It's not easy. But you got Georgia, and it just happens to be in Austin.
And you got
Vanderbilt.
Come on, guys.
I mean, how did it all just fall in like that? So, well, we're going to give you Vanderbilt. So you're going to take Georgia. But I tell you what.
You're going to have to go to A&M year one, but we'll give you
Georgia. And we'll give you Georgia at home, but we'll give you. We gotta
have you. You gotta lose one.
Yeah, we gotta. Can't make it obvious. So we'll give you Georgia, but we'll send them to Austin.
It is what it is.
You will let your bull try to run over their dog again.
As long as I don't see them on social media, I'm fine. They don't matter to me. They annoy me when I see them on social. The loud ones, right?
Here's the under over. 3 years is the under over. How long will it be before folks at Texas are lobbying the SEC to make a horns down a 15-yard penalty?
Oh,
under.
Yeah, I've did the under. But
can't do that.
But with the talent that they have,
feelings, 15-yard penalty.
Here's the truth: they should be a college football playoff team this year. But back to what Billy and I were talking about yesterday. How many big games has Sark won? He did win Bama last year, and he could have won 2 years ago.
You know, they probably are going to be really good. But I have to admit, the defensive issues there, they got a lot to replace on defense. Maybe they got the guys to replace them.
But I think they've ranked in the top 3 of transfer portal additions.
Where are the defensive guys?
They got a few on defense. They did. OB, good stuff, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah. Woo-woo. Wee.
Nico?
Hey, I didn't have anything crazy for breakfast. I'm excited. I'm celebrating the fact that the national championship.
You're raising the roof.
Woo.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Chris Gordy will talk some SEC football next on TexAgs. Let's go locked into the SEC. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Chris Gordy's joining us now. Does your set change every time we talk, Chris? I don't remember this particular set.
Yeah, this is my home setup, so this is it's a little bit nicer. I've got animals climbing into the frame here, but no, this is the home setup, and this is where we do Locked On SEC every day.
Hey, I want to play a game with you because I know you would love the SEC. You follow all the programs. I want to play. I'll go through some of the programs that have some intriguing storylines. Do you tell me why they'll be better or why they will not be better? You can give me both scenarios. All right? Can we do that?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
So let's start off with a team that you know quite well in LSU. I'm struggling with LSU because there's a part of me that says, well, Brian Kelly and LSU find ways to win 9 or 10 games every year, right? That's just par for the course. Since 2016, I think Brian Kelly has won 9 or 10 every year. And that year, I think they only won 4 at Notre Dame. But without Jaden Daniels, without the wide receiver core, without Mason Smith, I'm struggling because I know Garrett Nussmeier is going to be a nice player, but he doesn't run the way Jaden Daniels did. He was a big part of their rushing attack. Didn't he lead their rushing last year? So why would they be better? Why will they not be better?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, look, I think Garrett Nussmeier is a guy who's sat and waited his turn. I mean, in this day and age of the transfer portal, where guys could all leave at any time. If I'm not playing right now, I'm going to hit the portal and leave. He sat and waited his time. And so, he's played here and there. He's been very productive when he has played. I think the interesting thing with him is I've heard people refer to him as kind of like Brett Favre. Like he is, he's going to giveth and he's going to taketh away. Like he's going to throw touchdowns. He's going to throw interceptions. So like, I think a normal stat line for Garrett Nussmeier in a game next year is going to be like 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like, LSU fans are just going to have to deal with that. And yes, he's not going to be the runner that Jaden Daniels was. Jaden Daniels wasn't just LSU's leading rusher. He was one of the leading rushers in the SEC last year. That's how he won the Heisman. But I do think it's going to be a pretty interesting parallel. Like, I think LSU's offense is still going to be very good. They have a lot of good weapons. They lose Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. to the draft, but they have, Xavier Thomas. They have Kyron Lacey. They have Chris Hilton. They have some good receivers. I think they're going to score a bunch of points. The problem is, the defense didn't get any better. Like they improved the coaching staff. They got Blake Baker, who was the DC at Missouri, who I think is really good. They went and got Bo Davis, obviously the D-line coach from Texas. They had to pay him a ton to get him over. They bring back Corey Raymond to coach the secondary, and he was the architect of DBU years ago. So like they made some great additions. The problem is it's the same personnel. Like I think Harold Perkins is going to be awesome. Whit Weeks is a really good linebacker for them, but like the secondary didn't get any better. I do think Jordan Gilbert will give them something. I know, fans might feel a certain way about him, but they were kind of lacking on the safety side of things last year. So that's my biggest problem with LSU is I still think we have major questions about the defense, and that schedule is brutal, man. Like I don't know why in the world in this day and age we're going to a 12-team playoff. Why you would opt to schedule to open with USC on a neutral field in Vegas and then play UCLA a few weeks later. Like those are 2 Pac-12 now Big Ten teams you're playing in the non-conference. Like Michigan showed you last year, you don't have to play a tough non-conference. Michigan played ECU, UNLV, and Bowling Green in their non-con. And guess what? They went undefeated and went to the national championship. I think, scheduling tough non-conference games, I think you're going to start to see teams move away from that because especially if the SEC is going to get closer to a 9-game conference schedule here in a couple of years, like, why would you make it harder on yourself? And LSU's got one of the toughest schedules this year. And that's where I say, like, I think their ceiling is 10-2. Like, I don't even think that, even if they are awesome, I don't think they're getting to Atlanta. I think you're 10-2. And I think you're, maybe an outside chance of getting the playoff at best. So yeah, it's funny because year 3 at LSU has always been from Nick Saban to Les Miles to Ed Orgeron. Year 3 was typically the year that those guys were going and winning a championship. And everybody kind of thought that with Brian Kelly, here he'd be year 3 going to play for a championship. And unfortunately, he still didn't have the Jimmies and the Joes on the defense to get it done.
So your gut is they won't be better than they were last year? Is that your gut? Or you think they're more like the 10-2 team that you presented?
No, I mean, I think probably like, 8 or 9 wins is probably where they're going to be just because of the schedule. I mean, playing at A&M has given them big problems in recent years. At Arkansas and at Florida aren't easy, just pencil in W's. that Oklahoma game at the end of the year is going to be really, really tough. And I've even presented this scenario, David. I think there's a chance. Let's say LSU does their thing. They beat USC in Vegas. They beat UCLA at home. And they get to that week, that last week of the season. There's a scenario where both Oklahoma and LSU are 9-2. And that game in Tiger Stadium on November 30th is a de facto playoff game. Like, how cool would that be? Like, the winner of that game knows they're getting in the playoff. The loser knows they're going to the Gasparilla Bowl or something. So it's, I don't know. That's the ceiling again, though, for LSU. I still think they're probably 8 or 9 wins this year.
Gordy, let's play the same game with A&M. Give me a reason why you think they're going to be better. And 7-5, they should be better, but that schedule, even though you get all those games at home, there are tough games at home that you're going to get against, teams that are in the top 10.
Yeah, it's funny. Throughout the spring, I love what Mike Elko did through the transfer portal, and they've been kind of that quiet team sitting off to the side. I've been going, hey, I think A&M might be good this year. Like, I think 8-4, 9-3. Like, you do that, you're ahead of schedule, and we're off. And then I see all these people last few weeks starting to put A&M at number 24 and number 25 in their preseason rankings. People starting to pick them as their dark horse. I'm like, stop. I know Mike Elko's going, stop. Everybody stop picking us. Like, we want to be that secret team that nobody's talking about, and we kind of sneak up on you. So you're right. I mean, the schedule's tough. I do think they have a chance against Notre Dame in the opener better than Mike Elko. And man, how can you not be excited about what you saw from Nick Scorton in the spring? I mean, he's going to be awesome. I think he'll be one of the leading sackers in the SEC this year. But I mean, look, you do get Missouri at home. I mean, your road trips at Florida, at Mississippi State, at South Carolina, and at Auburn, they're not easy places to play. But like, if you had to pick road games, like those are better than going to, to Alabama or to Ole Miss or something like that. So I think the schedule is navigatable for A&M. And again, like, I think most Aggie fans, if you said, look, y'all, you take that in year one of Mike Elko because of, how downtrodden you've been the last few years through those last final years of the Jimbo era.
All right, let's do Alabama. Give me a reason why they'll be better, why they'll be worse. And I think obviously Nick Saban not being there would be a big reason.
Yeah, I look, man, it's so weird. I mean, I like Kalen DeBoer. I got to meet him, at the championship week, or in Sugar Bowl, and then in Houston, he was in town for the championship, and really nice guy. Even got to talk to him a little bit at the Senior Bowl and got to ask him a question or two. And again, like, I think he's an easy guy to root for. I just think he maybe still doesn't understand what he's in for. Like, the Alabama fan base is not reasonable. I mean, Nick Saban has raised those expectations through the roof, and there was always going to be a transition with no matter who took over for Saban. And I think DeBoer can be a good coach, but what's a good coach? I would say realistically, David, is competing for, the chance to play for a championship once every 3 to 4 years. That's what every good, realistic program should say. Like, A&M should have that standard. LSU should have that standard. Florida, like, these are all realistic expectations. Say once every 3 to 4 years, we should be in the playoff and have a chance to go win a championship. But Alabama, the expectation is every year to go undefeated and win a championship. And I just don't think those expectations are real with Nick Saban gone. And so I keep saying, I can't wait for that Monday morning that Monday afternoon after Alabama loses their first game. The Paul Feinbaum show is going to be must listen to, radio, because they hear those Alabama fans. They will be saying, oh, this guy, he's not cut out for the SEC. He's in over his head, all this kind of stuff. And like I said, I think he's a good coach, but that schedule is brutal. I mean, they got to go play road games at Tennessee and at LSU and at Oklahoma. Hey, last time I checked, the last time Saban went to Tennessee and went to LSU, he lost both those games. So, look, it's going to be tough. I think they're going to have at least 2 to 3 losses. If they go 10-2, like we said, we think that's kind of the barometer, mark to hit to get into the playoffs. So we'll see if they can hit that. But there's no way in the world I could see this team going 12-0. I've had people even say, like, is Jalen Milroe the right quarterback for Kalen DeBoer's offense? Right. Like, nobody's saying he's not a good quarterback, but does he fit that system? This is a guy who's had Michael Penix for the last, 4 or 5 years in his offense. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see it. And look, I said it, around the SEC, I said the day that Nick Saban retires, 13 other teams are going to throw a party. Now 15 other teams. And, we were talking to Eli Drinkwitz the day when the moment the announcement came out that Saban was retiring. And I think every SEC coach went home and had a cocktail that night and said, thank God monkeys off our back there. But man, I just I almost feel bad for Kalen DeBoer because he's trying to do everything he can to internalize everything and keep this thing, keep the trains on the tracks. But I just think that fan base, the minute he loses a game, it's going to derail, and they're going to start, saying, I don't know if he's the right guy for this job.
All right, Chris, Texas, we talked about them at the end of the hour with OB. They're in the 8 o'clock hour, and they're a hard team to figure out because they are entering the SEC. They've had some people leave. They've brought in a lot of people. I don't know how many big games Sark has won in his career, yet this team should be at the very least 10-2. I think they have a very favorable SEC schedule outside of Georgia. I mean, they're getting Michigan after Michigan loses all their players. They get Vandy. There's a lot of reasons to think they're going to win games their first year in the SEC, not the wake-up call that I kind of expected. So what's your take on Texas? Why will they be better? Why will they maybe be worse?
Well, I'm one of those people. I do think they're going to be a good team. And I do think the schedule is favorable for them. I mean, if we're comparing their schedule to Oklahoma's, I mean, it's night and day. Oklahoma got the short end of the stick. Texas really lucked out and, not having to play Alabama, avoiding Ole Miss. I mean, they really did luck out schedule-wise. But I do think they're going to take a little bit of a step back. Like, Sark has one good year at Texas, and now all of a sudden we're crowning him as, they're going to be one of the best teams in the SEC. It's them in Georgia. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Because 2 years ago, we were saying Sark has underachieved so far 2 years at Texas. And really, his only saving grace was we're not going to fire him because he's got Arch Manning coming in. That was a topic of conversation. So, yeah, man, I'm really questioning, what was the gripe with Texas for a couple of years there under Tom Herman and company? They weren't getting high draft picks. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen, they weren't, where were those big high draft picks that they had? This year, they finally had it. 11 kids drafted? But they're all gone now. Tavondre Sweat's gone. Byron Murphy's gone. On offense, you lose A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy and J.T. Sanders. I mean, it's a lot of pieces to lose. And yes, you bring back Quinn Ewers, but let's not act like he's the next coming of Vince Young here. He was fine, but I watched him in an Oklahoma game have not one but two awful interceptions early that put them behind the 8 ball. Granted, he takes them down the field for the late score, but they still end up losing that game. And then that Sugar Bowl, I was there in person in New Orleans. I can't get it on my head how bad he was for, the whole first half and 3/4 of that game against Washington. So, yeah, man. And look, the fact of the matter is he's been hurt each of the last 2 years. So, if we're going to expect Quinn Ewers to play every game this year, there's a chance he does get hurt and we see Arch Manning at some point. So, I find it hard to believe you're going to lose that whole receiving core and just here comes, Isaiah Bolden and Silas Bolden, and they're just going to develop chemistry overnight. I think Texas is going to have a little bit of a tough transition. This isn't playing Baylor and then Kansas and Kansas State. This is a tough stretch of having to play Oklahoma, your rivalry game. Oh, and then you get Georgia coming to town after. I mean, it's the SEC grind takes its toll on you. And I just think this Texas team is going to lose 2 to 3 games, and we're going to look back and go, maybe we're a little bit too high on them.
Gordy, I am kind of bullish on Ole Miss. I don't want to be. But, I mean, I just think this could be a real special year for them. Give me a reason why they'll be better, why they might not be better.
Well, I mean, the offense is obviously so good. I mean, that's, it's hard to go against what Jackson Dart and, has been able to accomplish there. I do think they're going to take a little bit of a hit in losing Quinshon Judkins. I know we're all just kind of poo-pooing and going, it's fine. And, even Ole Miss fans have talked themselves into, he didn't, he was a me person, and we're better without him and all this. Look, he was one of the leading rushers in the SEC these last 2 years, and to lose him is a big loss. And look at what they've been doing through the transfer portal. I mean, they've added 4 running backs here in recent weeks through the transfer portal. They have Ulysses Bentley back, and he was very productive at SMU a couple years ago. But I still think they don't have a good, workhorse running back. I think they're going to go running back by committee and try to grind this thing out. But, there's no question. The offensive weapons, the passing game is going to be great. You got Trey Harris back. You bring in Juice Wells from South Carolina. You bring in Deion Smith. I mean, they're going to have weapons all over the place, and they're going to score some points. And I do think that defense is going to be much improved. Don't let Alabama fans tell you, Pete Golding's actually a pretty good defensive coordinator. It's just they were holding him to a higher standard because he was at Alabama, and it's Nick Saban. They're not supposed to let anybody score points ever, but the defense was much improved last year, and now you bring in pieces like, Walter Nolan and Prince Umanmielen and Chris Paul and Trey Amos. They're going to have dudes. And so, yeah, and then, of course, the schedule sets up great for them. I think their two toughest games is what? Home for Georgia and at LSU. Even if they lose both those games, they're going 10-2 and they're in the playoffs. So I'm with you. Like, I think, it's good to be bullish on Ole Miss, but also don't discount this. Lane Kiffin's always been the bridesmaid, never the bride. Like, he's easy in achieving great things when the expectations are low, but when the expectations are this high, can he live up to them? And that's the big question.
So who's got more to prove this year, Sark or Lane Kiffin?
Gosh, it's kind of equal both. I mean, with Sark, it's like year one in the SEC, you've sold everybody on we're hitting the ground running. Like, we belong in the SEC. So you can't use this whole like, oh, it's a transition year, it's a new conference, all this kind of stuff. But with Lane Kiffin, it's like put up or shut up time. It's like either this is the year you're going to break through, or you're not. You finally get a year where you don't play Alabama on your schedule. Like, this is the year that you have to break through. And if, like I said, if they go 10-2 or 9-3, God forbid, like the Ole Miss fan base isn't going to get excited about that. You've raised the expectations there. And with all the pieces you have coming back this year, particularly with Jackson Dart, like you got to go win. And if they don't do it, it's going to be very disappointing. So, but again, I think when you go look at the odds makers and most people where they're picking the two best teams in the SEC, people are saying it starts with Georgia and Texas. People aren't putting Ole Miss in that top elite category just yet. They're the rung right below. So again, Sark expectations super high for him, but I think it's kind of equal with both those guys.
All right, let's do Auburn. A lot of people are high on Auburn because of the wide receiver room, Cam Coleman, but yet, like, what we see in a spring game doesn't always translate to what is going to happen, especially for a freshman to be the savior of a program. Peyton Thorne is still the quarterback. Give me a reason why Auburn could be better and a reason why they might not be better.
Well, Hugh Freeze said it, right towards the end of the spring. He said it finally started to click for Peyton Thorne. He said we started to see the guy that was comfortable, cool, calm, and collected, and he had kind of taken control of this team. I don't know if that's true. We're going to find out. But if it is true, and we do start to see the Peyton Thorne that produced at Michigan State, then all the better for Auburn. Like, I think they will take a huge step forward, and they're going to win some games. And if Peyton Thorne is, even top 6, top 7 in the SEC in passing yards, then Auburn's going to be in great shape. The problem is, why would you handcuff yourself to one guy? Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't go out and at least add a quarterback with some starting experience, because the problem is if Peyton Thorne sucks again this year like he did last year, behind him you got Holden Gariner, Hank Brown, Walker White. It's all inexperienced guys. It's guys you've recruited and you think very highly of, and I think Walker White's going to be awesome down the road. I mean, in the spring game, that dude has got a cannon for an arm. But like, to hitch your wagon to Peyton Thorne and not bring in another experienced quarterback to at least compete, I think was a huge misstep on Hugh Freeze's part. And you can't coach scared. You can't do this thing where, well, if we bring in a transfer, we might lose Hank Brown. Who cares? Like, you got to win games. And this is year 2 on the Plains. And I just think we may look back, David, down the road and go, Hugh Freeze, his biggest mistake he made at Auburn was trusting Peyton Thorne and saying, this is our guy. Because think about when Brian Kelly got to LSU. Miles Brennan was coming back as the 6-year starter. Everybody assumed he was the starter. Brian Kelly still went to Arizona State and brought in Jaden Daniels. Everybody's going, why is he bringing in Jaden Daniels? Like, he's got Miles Brennan. Well, Miles Brennan ends up retiring from football. Jaden Daniels becomes the starter, and a year later is the Heisman Trophy winner. I look at LSU even this year. They went out and, even with Garrett Nussmeier and some good recruits behind him, they went and got A.J. Swan from Vanderbilt. Now, I get it. Nobody's excited about getting the Vanderbilt quarterback, but at least A.J. Swan has played in SEC games and has that experience. So if you had to throw him out there, to start a game, you would feel good about him not being, the scene not being too big for him. So I'm worried about that for Auburn, that if Peyton Thorne is the dud this year, what do you do? I mean, if you lose 2 games early, are you going to bench him and start one of the young guys? And I mean, you're not going to go undefeated with one of those young guys. This thing could really unravel, and we could be talking about Hugh Freeze, fired as the Auburn coach a year or 2 from now and going, why did he do that? Why did he invest everything in that one guy in Peyton Thorne?
All right, last one for you. We've got to do it quickly. Tennessee, give me a reason they'll be better, why they may not be better.
Well, it's all about Nico Iamaleava, and I've worked all offseason on getting that name right. So, I do think, some talk about, potential Heisman buzz for him if they hit the ground running. Obviously, a big early test against Oklahoma. But to me, it's all about the defense. I think the offense is going to be fine. They're going to score points. It's a Josh Heupel offense. They got great receivers. Chris Brazzell, they brought over from Tulane. We had him on Locked on SEC a few weeks ago. Great kids, Squirrel White, Brew McCoy. I mean, they got weapons everywhere. can the defense get stops? That's been the biggest problem with Tennessee. It was a big problem last year. Obviously, Joe Milton was a little bit of a dud transitioning from Hendon Hooker. So, yeah, they'll go as far as this defense could take him. And if the defense gets stops, I mean, look, James Pierce is already being talked about as the number 1 overall pick in the draft next year. So if they can get some stops, get some sacks, force some turnovers, yeah, Tennessee has a chance to get to 10, maybe 11 wins and get to Atlanta. They, can they beat Georgia? We'll see. But, it's very interesting now where there's no East and no West. It's just about two best records get to Atlanta.
Gordy, great stuff, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, David.
Take care. Chris Gordy there. Locked On SEC, of course, iHeartRadio. Does great work. We're going to hit a break here. We'll come back and see if we can get in some SEC story. Is that now? Is that next? No, we're going to do a little college basketball talk when we come back for a short segment. Right now, Schulte Roofing, an award-winning roofing company that provides industrial, commercial, residential services to all these great areas: Belleville, Brenham, Bryan, College Station, Conroe, Montgomery, Navasota, San Antonio, the Woodlands, and surrounding counties. Schulte Roofing is the home, and you know this line, but I'm going to give it to you softly or slowly. Home of the bulletproof roof guarantee. That is the home of the bulletproof roof guarantee, the industry's absolute best roofing system, roof installation, warranty, and 100% satisfaction guarantee or your money back. They've been around since 1994. Humble beginnings to start, but they are the biggest and the best in the area. There's no doubt about that. They're committed to excellence out there. They've grown into a top 100 roofing company, and they are the industry leader and this area's leader when it comes to getting the best roof. And that's why many of you in the Brazos Valley and the surrounding areas have done it. The phone number for Schulte Roofing, 1-800-4ROOF. That number, 1-800-4ROOF. You can go to their website, schulteroofing.com. That is schulteroofing.com. I really don't know the song. Callie, do you know the song? Should I know it? Your mic's not on. Hello? Check again. Broke your mic. You totally broke it.
I'll come fix it. That's probably me.
Nick broke it. Yep. TexAgs Radio. I don't know the song. I should know it, being but I'm Mr. Country Music now, so I've moved on. TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. A little college basketball for a moment. So looks like on 3 with their way too early top 25 college basketball rankings. And it talks about teams adding through depth and transfer portals. So A&M, just for this conversation's sake, which is what I want to focus on, they're coming in at number 22. I think a year ago around this time, they were in the top 15 when people started doing these. But number 22 on the list, and it says here for A&M, key returns. Wade Taylor, love him. Anderson Garcia, love him. Henry Coleman, love him. Solo, love him. Jace Carter, love him. Manny Obaseki, love him. Hayden Hefner, love him. So all of these are the key returners. Obviously, the biggest departure is Boots Radford, and that's going to be a hard one to overcome because of what he meant to this team. And when he got going, A&M season turned around. Because remember, he had a little lull in the season. Some of it had to do with injuries. Some of it had to do with other issues. But that being said, you've got Wade, Andy, Henry, Solo, Jace, Manny, and Hayden all coming back. You lose Boots, but you bring in C.J. Wilcher from Nebraska, Pharrell Payne, and Zerrick Phelps. Potentially another guy could be added in the mix. There's still plenty of time to do that. But if you remember the way, obviously you're never going to replace Dexter Dennis, right? You're not going to do it. But in the loss of some players, right? Last year you didn't get Marble to play, and obviously Dexter Dennis went to the NBA. In the loss of players, other players became the guy. So does Anderson Garcia have the type of season if he wasn't forced into a different role because of the depth? We may not be talking about Andy the way we talk about him. And by the way, the dramatic shot that he made to continue that game against Houston, right? There's that. But, the departures allowed for Solo, right, to be a huge defensive presence for this team, right? You put those guys, and Manny Obaseki, late in the season, obviously, was forced to develop. Some of it was because of injury. Some of it was because they needed a different look offensively. So, yeah, you lose Boots Radford. Does that allow for somebody to take a big step? If you get the Manny Obaseki that you got towards the end of the season, that softens the loss of Boots. It doesn't take care of that because with Boots gone, and Manny was doing that with Boots to his side. Now he's going to have a lot more attention placed there. But if C.J. Wilcher, who will probably come off the bench, or Zerrick Phelps can really develop and give you a pack a little bit more of a punch and attack the rim the way Boots did, now you're talking about potentially a better team. Like, can Wade Taylor continue to have better seasons? Like, has he reached the height of his game? I'd say no, right? I think he still can take his game up a notch. Can Anderson Garcia replicate what he did last year? That'll be an interesting case study. Henry Coleman, beginning of the year was solid, had some injury situations. The offense kind of changed. He wasn't, but he's always going to factor in. I think Solo's going to continue to rise. No doubt about Solo's rising. And I think Jace Carter, who we had in studio last week, absolutely will be a bigger key in this team, a bigger key for them. He's going to have to continue his three-point shooting, his defense, but he started finding his way towards the end of the season. So way too early. This team is going to be in the mix like they were last year, and potentially a better SEC season. And I don't have their non-conference schedule in front of me, but I know they've, again, have some great games in the mix and some nice tournaments to talk about. The one in Vegas comes to mind. So I think it's going to be great. I absolutely do. I think it's going to be a wonderful one. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. I want to talk to Scott Livingstone, 50 career home runs at Texas A&M. Jace Lavalette right behind him. And Scott's got a new podcast he's been doing for the last few months, so we'll talk to him about that. We'll do that right now. Caller number 1, we're going to give you a free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. They're Aggie owned and operated with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership. We'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggieland Express in South College Station, 979-693-1150. Our insurance studio. Let's talk a little bit about the Aggie baseball team, which has been obviously a hot topic here on the show, and is going to continue to be as they their quest for a College World Series. Let's talk to Scott Livingstone there on the hotline. 18 school records at Texas A&M, started all 4 years, earning All-American honors in 87 and 88, leading the Aggies to a Southwestern Conference co-championship in 1986. Mr. Livingstone, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Every time I talk to you and I see that background, I think that is the perfect set for this interview. I love that.
I do it just for you.
Well, I appreciate it, man. So, hey, tell me about the podcast. I don't remember you doing a podcast last year. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm seeing it all over social now, and I see it on Spotify.
You aren't wrong. I started it this during the off season, basically before the spring. Ball 5 podcast. I was sitting around. I watch the A&M baseball games, obviously, and I watch them with my wife, and I'll say things about the game, or I say, watch, this might happen, or this is going on. And then the announcer in the game would say it like right after I said it. And she's like, you should be doing this. Why aren't you doing this? And I was like, I wish I maybe would have got into it a long time ago or thought about it. And, I've been on you guys before, and people listen to TexAgs, obviously, because it's an extremely great show. And, they're like, oh, you should talk. You should do this. And so I was sitting around this winter. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should. So I'm trying it out real small. Ball 5, obviously. Ags, the Aggie faithful know where that comes from, right? So, I thought I'd, pay tribute to what the fans in the stands do, and the yelling of Ball 5 and the chanting of Ball 5 and all that stuff. So it's been fun. It's been good. I enjoy talking baseball. So if you enjoy and have a passion of what you're doing, that's not really work, right? So it's been fun. It's been good. And I tell you what, one thing that I've enjoyed is getting to know the players and interview them. And, we know what they can do on the field, right? I mean, they're amazing. But I tell you what, as you know, because you talk to all of them all the time, solid young men. And it's great to be able to watch them and go, God, it's easy to pull for them. It makes it fun.
Scott, one of the interesting things, too, is because we live in this new world of college athletics where, first off, college baseball is bigger than it's ever been. It's more for the fan now, right? It is out there. These kids are getting paid NIL dollars. It's different, yet you look in that clubhouse, you look at that team, those kids are down to earth, man. They play the game because they love the game. I mean, and you've talked to them.
Oh, my gosh. It's amazing to hear them talk about their teammates and the coaches and how much fun they have, and one game at a time. And not one time, as you know, like I said, you talk to a lot of them, they don't talk about themselves. They talk about the team. And, I've said it before, when I said it a while back in a couple podcasts months ago, is that they have bought into the program. They bought into the culture of the school. And even though they don't have their names on the back of their jerseys, they know it's about the name on the front of the jersey. It's about Texas A&M. And I think they buy into that, and that's part of the culture there. And everybody, like I said, buys in, and they love it.
That's got to be so hard, too, in today's world of college sports, because it is about NIL dollars. And at the end of the day, the reason we watch, the reason that we came to Texas A&M is because what it says, right, the front of the jersey. And I like I don't know if old school approach is the way but the mindset, the old school mindset of it being about the university.
Oh, yeah, totally. And so, I'm like a little schoolgirl when I watch these games. I get excited and hear these guys talk in their interviews. And, my wife, she's Ohio State football, right? So, I'm trying to break the mold and get her into baseball, which she is, obviously. She knows Lord Tubbington. I mean, she'll pull for Hayden's shot. She'll say, come on, Hayden. Or, did Appel go deep again? So it's just getting somebody like her to pull for them. And it speaks volumes about how the kids are, young men are, and, just what great people they are. But it's the university. When I interviewed Jace, he said, I came here to play baseball, but then once I got here, it was like, wow, this place is amazing. The people are amazing. The university, everything about it is amazing. And it's fun to watch, especially like you said, we're fans. And still, being a former player, I'm a bigger fan of these guys and just the program in general. So it's been a lot of fun for me. I'm probably getting a little excited on here. So it's just kind of like, they excite me.
Well, let's continue down that track. It's about to get real. And look, I don't know about you, but I really would love to see a nice run in Hoover, win it, right? But I also understand the balance. That's been kind of a topic this week on the show. If it can come without expending your pitchers and without any injuries, go win the whole darn thing. But if not, get some rest and let's go do the thing that really matters.
Yeah, I think it's kind of I think I heard you say it earlier or ask it earlier to somebody. It's a win-win. It's, you go, you get some time in. And I know as a hitter, you don't want to have a long layoff of not playing and not having at bats and this and that. So you want to get your reps in between. And I feel for the coaches a little bit because it's kind of tough to navigate. You're trying to figure out, how long do I throw Prager? How do I use my bullpen and have them ready for that next week? Because that's the important week, right? And of course, everybody wants to win the tournament. And when these guys get on the field, they're competitors. They're going to play. They're going to compete. They're going to try and win the game. And, I would like to see it. I'd like to see them win and celebrate, but I also would rather see them celebrate on the field in Omaha. So whatever it takes to set that up, I'm all in.
Scott Livingstone with us here on TexAgs Radio. Scott, 50 career home runs at Texas A&M. And Lord Tubbington right behind you. He may catch that here in the next couple of days.
He better, because I was actually going to talk about this on a podcast this week is, I get direct messages about people like, hey, some of your records going to be broken and this and that. How you feel about that? And actually, when I interviewed Gavin, we talked off air, if you will. It wasn't on the podcast. I said, it's a situation where that's okay, because if I'm not wanting someone to break the records, then I'm not pulling for them. I want them to do well. I want them to win. And, I never viewed myself as a power hitter, but I actually did a little research back in the day. 50 home runs, let's put it in context, is that I did it in 4 years. My first 2 years, I actually had to look it up. I hit 10 my first year and 7 my second year. So that's 17 in 2 years. Jace is going to get 50 plus in 2 years. That's a power hitter, right? So back in the day when I did the research and looked at it, I was like, teams were only hitting, A&M teams were only hitting about 20, 25 home runs back in the day as a team. And so I was like, well, golly, maybe I was a power hitter back then, but now it's totally different. And, Gavin's going to threaten 50 in 3 years. And I said in a podcast a while back, Caden Sorrell, keep an eye on that kid, man. He's sneaky, and his confidence is growing. And it's fun to watch. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting excited talking about it. I'm ready for the regionals. And but yeah, I'm for the guys. Break as many records as you can. I do know though that I have a lot of school records that they won't break because the Southwest Conference has disbanded. It's no longer available. So,
well. Let's talk about that for a minute, too, because what Gavin Grohovic has been able to do, he's got 19 home runs as a freshman. There's still time. I think Jace hit, what was Jace last year? 21 home runs?
21.
21. Gavin may break that record this year, right? Which means he might be at 50 next year, or in the next year and a half. And then you mentioned Caden Sorrell, who's had such a phenomenal freshman year. This is kind of cool to see at this era of Aggie baseball offensively.
Oh, it's great. And, I've talked to the 89 team when I talked to them on the Ball 5 podcast, and they're excited. And so the game has changed. The athletes have changed. Yes, everything's gotten better, but it's great. It's easy for us to pull for these guys and pull for this team, and we like seeing it get better. And, they're bigger, they're stronger. I mean, everybody talks about Grohovic, 6'2", 220, Jay 6'6". I mean, you look at these guys. They broke a guy's record that was 5'8", 160. Sorry, John, if I got that wrong. But, and that lasted 30-something years. And there's been a lot of really good hitters go through Texas A&M as freshmen and years after. So for what these guys are doing, it's fun to watch. It's great to see. We pull for them, and yeah, the game's evolved. It's just the guys are throwing so much harder. And, I think it goes back to what I was thinking about the other day is like, in real estate, it's location, location, location. Well, in the SEC, it's depth, depth, depth. So the more depth that a team has, the more dangerous they are. And you look at our lineup 1 through 9. I mean, even, my wife knows that they call him the Nat or the Nut. I'm not sure which one they're using these days, but Chestnut can even hit it out of the ballpark. So, I mean, it's 1 through 9. They're awesome, and then their bullpen and everything. So the athletes that are on that team, it's incredible.
So let's talk a little bit about how they win games too, because I look at this past weekend against Arkansas with that amazing pitching staff, and A&M found the 2 wins that they had, and it could have been 3. There were different types of games, right? You had a pitcher's duel with Ryan Prager going head-to-head with Hayden Smith. You've got the 10-run rule that they did there on Sunday. Just the fact, and this team can play defense too. When they're at their best, and they were at their best most of this year, right? They could beat you multiple ways.
Oh, totally. And I mean, how great was Prager? Golly, when I watched that game, I was telling my wife, I was like, look at, Hagen Smith. He's kind of a thrower where Prager's a pitcher. I mean, he was pitching. And that's what was impressive to me, is about how he changed speeds and this and that, where Smith was just trying to throw it by you up in the zone and try and get you to swing and miss. And, they did have 20 strikeouts that game. But, the way these guys can beat you, I mean, Chestnut can drop a bunt. I like to see guys go opposite field, hit balls the other way, stay inside the ball like I hear you guys talk about. And so many ways, and to see Braden pop one out of the yard. I mean, everybody's going to get hot at the right time, and the way that I can't say enough about the coaches either. We talk about the program and the home runs and stuff like that. If you look to see where the home runs and the hitting really jumped, it's when Michael Early got here.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it really took off, and, to have him in the dugout now, I think that's a great move. And yeah, like you said, I mean, they can beat you a number of ways, and defense and pitching, it's depth that they have. And yeah, you're right. I mean, it's all sorts of ways that they can beat you. And that's the makeup of a championship team.
Yeah. And here's another thing. They got a championship roster. They have a championship coaching staff. I mean, Schloss is nails. Max Weiner has proven to be nails this year in his first collegiate job. Nolan Kane, the guy is the top when it comes to finding the talent and the way they've been able to go about it. And you already talked about Michael Early. This entire staff, it's not often, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, in college baseball where people, just a normal fan, can spit out the assistant coaches' names on a staff.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a year that these coaches want to be in a contract year, right? Renegotiate. So, I mean, it's a situation where I feel like they're the best of the best, and to watch them, and then, like I said earlier, to hear the players talk about the coaches and they buy into what they say and the program that they run there, and I had great coaches too, but to hear these guys talk about it at this day and time, and the knowledge that these guys have, and Schlossnagle pulling the trigger on certain things and just doing everything right. And yeah, they're going to lose here and there, but at the end of the day, they're champions.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's close up with what is it going to take, all right, for them to, let's just say the SEC tournament coming up and also the regional. What is it going to take, you think, for them to be able to continue to play at the level they've been playing at? Does it come back to pitching? Does it come back to how Ryan Prager pitches, how Evan Ostenbeck and the rest of the Chris Cortez, or is it something deeper?
I think it will come down to pitching, because like I said earlier, depth. If you're going to get into your bullpen in the World Series, right, you're going to end up. They're going to get there. I have faith they're going to get there. So even in the regional, you're going to be using. You might be pushing somebody that they haven't been pushed before, a certain number of innings or whatnot. But just the makeup of these guys, they don't panic. There's no panic in them, and I credit the coaching staff for that, obviously. So yeah, I think pitching, but I tell my wife all the time, I don't think there's a pitching staff in the country that could tame our lineup for 2 games in a row. And I just don't see it. And, we've seen it before. Jace and Braden may have not, they might have struggled in a game, but then the bottom half picked them up. And so it's just all the way through. So I think it's just going to be a combination of the hitting and pitching and doing what they normally do and playing good defense. And, it's kind of a recipe that everybody tries to follow. So I just feel like they're in a good place at the right time.
No doubt about that. Scott Livingstone here on the show. Let's, first off, people listen to Ball 5, and also let's get you back on the show here soon, and maybe even in the studio at some point.
Yeah, that'd be great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Take care, buddy. Good stuff there. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with an open segment here. If you got any text messages, you want to react to it, 979-693-1150. We're talking about Heritage Films. They make documentary films about families, about people, about adventures, right? Whatever you're into. If you like to, I don't know, go hunting on the weekends, if you like to go fishing with your boys, if you like to play golf, if you've got a knitting club that you're a part of. I know that Olin's a part of a knitting club. If you want that story told, and you want that eye in the sky and get that perspective and get the interviews done, you should absolutely reach out to Chance McClain and his crew. If you've got somebody in the family that you want to honor, you want to tell their story, they're getting up there in age, you want to tell your grandfather's story, your dad's story, your mother's story. Father's Day is coming up, right? What a great way to honor your father by getting a Heritage film, 2-hour documentary film that just is the life of the story, right? They're going to tell your story at the best level, and they're going to have the pictures, the video, and the questions to match. 2-month process to get it back, and when you see it, you're going to really, really feel inspired. It's a great moment you can take with your family to watch all together, brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, a really cool thing to do. You should check it out. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. You should also look into the Yearflix option, which is a great option. It is more of a 20-minute Q&A benchmark video reserved for the youngers in the family. So we're talking about a kid who's about to graduate from high school. Why not tell that story? Find out what they're into right now, what they think their major is going to be in college, what how life is going to be not playing sports. Maybe they're going to play sports at the next level. And then you follow it up when they're at A&M, when they get their Aggie ring, you follow it up, you do another video, and you get yourself a 4-part series there with Chance and his crew. The number is 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. Check out yourheritagefilm.com. That is yourheritagefilm.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm going to read a quick text, and then I'm going to let Callie take over. This is from John in Cyprus. 2 texts today. Scott is a great listen. I believe the SEC tournament is exactly what this team needs. Like y'all were saying, zero pressure so they can go out there, relax, free swing, and play. That's the environment our offense needs to get right and ready for Omaha. Already got my tickets and staying with my buddy. Let's go. Look. Oh, man, I ate up all your time, Kelly. I agree 100%, right? Like, here's the thing. They're going there to win the whole damn thing, right? But again, if it doesn't happen, if they don't, if they have to, they're not going to exhaust your pitching staff, right? They're going to go. They're going to win. All right, we'll give Prager a start at the end of the next one. All right, get them on a pitch count, whatever they want to do. Get that normal flow going. Move on. And if they win, let's bring home some hardware. But at the end of the day, it's about Omaha, and you have to feel great about this chances because something Scott said there, like, what pitching staff you really think is going to quiet this team for 2 games in a row? It ain't going to happen, guys. I just don't believe it. And I think our pitching staff has been good enough to absolutely make a deep, deep run in Omaha and win the whole damn thing. Callie, you got like 12 seconds. What do you got?
Well, yeah, just starting with the SEC baseball tournament. Currently, we've got LSU, Georgia going on. LSU is already up 2-0 in the bottom of the first, so keep an eye on that game.
They're playing a lot better. They sure are. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with Tom Hart here on TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Should have Tom Hart here momentarily. Let's go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie Gardner's always got some good stuff, and I cut her off, like literally. She had 5 seconds to talk, so I apologize, Callie. What else do you have for us?
That's okay. Yeah. Just staying along the lines of the SEC baseball tournament, I'm super excited. This is my favorite week of the year by far. Some of the best baseball schools in the country. And obviously the best baseball conference in the country going head-to-head all week long. And every game is truly anyone's game, and you can't say that about many baseball games and baseball conferences. And so the Aggies will play the winner of Ole Miss and Mississippi State, which that game takes place tonight. And that is the 5th time these rivals are meeting each other this season, and they have split the first 4, going 2-2. So should be interesting there. And the current game that's happening is Wes Johnson and the Georgia Bulldogs taking on Wes's old team, which he was the pitching coach for last year, the LSU Tigers. And Georgia pitcher Jarvis Evans loaded the bases in the first 9 pitches and allowed 2 runs through the first 13, and then loaded the bases
on 9 pitches.
Yes.
Huh? Wow.
And then again in 24, loaded the bases, only recording 1 out. And then Christian Maragna, who we have some interesting experiences with over here in College Station, is now pitching for Georgia, and he got 2 done, and now they're moving on. But just thought it was an interesting first inning for Georgia, and just that storyline of Wes Johnson taking on LSU, I figured would be a pretty interesting matchup. So curious to see how the game plays out. But SEC baseball tournament, I mean, I was talking to Bronny about it last week. It's by far my favorite, and I'm so jealous that he's there. He was telling me how if you get the right people, it can sometimes be more fun than Omaha, just because the baseball is top notch and you never know what you're going to get. So
yeah, and Callie, remind us the name and what's the we all know the connection, but just in case for somebody not understanding why this pitcher means something to Texas A&M.
Yes.
Why don't you give us a little bit of the backstory to remind people?
So Christian Maragna is the pitcher that came in against us in the A&M Georgia game, Game 3, and struck out all 3 of our top hitters. And
that would be Gavin.
Yes.
That would be Jace. That would be Braden. And they looked overmatched.
Yeah, he made them look silly, honestly. And that's never happened before. And he was the name surrounding all the controversy with the sticky substance that came out of the bullpen and just, shut us down, and we lost that game. I'd just be curious to see how he pitches today. I mean, he came in and got 2 outs in like 4 pitches 5 minutes ago. So just curious to follow that throughout the rest of the season. And who knows, we might face Georgia again. You never know. But I'd be interested to face him again and see how he handles against our batters again.
Now let's get some text messages in, please.
Yeah, we had, I know we read one about Scott Livingstone, and a lot of them were just talking about how awesome he was at A&M, and we had a couple of texts about how he was just the reason they had started enjoying Aggie baseball and have since kept up with it. And I know he has a lot of accolades at A&M, and he's gone on to be very successful. So just really impressive stuff there, and glad we were able to have him on the show.
Yeah, Trey and Brian actually says watching Scott Livingstone play baseball is what made me fall in love with Aggie baseball. The guy was an incredible player and also just a good dude, right? No doubt about that. All right, let's continue talking a little Aggie baseball and some other storylines here. We go to the hotline. Tom Hart of the SEC Network was in town this past weekend. Tom, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, David. How are you today?
I'm good, buddy. What's going on in your world?
I'm just getting fired up for the tournament. We got Georgia LSU already going. We got the 2 night games tonight, and then this thing's rocking and rolling.
So I didn't even think about it. What broadcasts do you have? Like, do you have the night games tonight?
Yeah, I have the night games tonight, and then tomorrow night too. So I think this tournament is suddenly interesting. Not that it hasn't been. It's always been, like, hey, who is going to nail down this seed or who's going to win a trophy? But now the bottom 5 teams are fighting for their postseason lives. And, I think it's unfair to compare the 5 to each other. I think it's really comparing those 5 to other bubble teams. But you'll see a lot of talk this week like, well, how would you order these 5? To me, that's getting a little bit in the weeds. It's how do they match up with, I don't know, the James Madisons and the Coastal Carolinas of the world. And I think that's a more fair conversation to have. But I don't think we've ever gone into a tournament where, especially on the first day, teams were playing to make it to the postseason.
It's an interesting point, Tom. Let's switch to A&M for a moment and the way they played this weekend. You saw it up close. Not only were you impressed with the way they played, but does it feel like they've kind of gotten back to who they are and not what they were the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, and I think it goes back to one thing we talked about ad nauseum. Ronnie mentioned it when I was sitting there in studio the other day. Like, it's about taking your walks and getting on base. When you're patient and you work the count, you're still allowed to swing and swing really hard, but it better be a stick, and you better be swinging at the right pitches. Kyle Peterson mentioned this like right after it came off the bat, but the opposite field home run for Braden Montgomery just looks like the kind of at-bat that gets you off the schneid, it gets you going again. So I think that was impressive. I mean, the whole weekend, honestly, was impressive. That's a team they're going to have to outslug people most games, and they just got to be dialed in and focused. And college baseball is a game, it's usually 10 runs are going to score, in total. So you better hope that you're on, you're up 5-4, or you win that thing 6-5. That's usually how it's going to go down, even in the big games against great opponents.
Yeah, Tom, but the way Ryan Prager has pitched this season gives them a legit ace to start their series. And I was a little disappointed he didn't get first team All SEC, but we'll take the second team as long as they keep winning.
Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism. I mean, he's thrown great. He was magnificent the other night. And I don't know if you saw, but we had him on headset on Saturday, and just such a even-keeled, highly intelligent, smart guy that is also a competitor. Sometimes you don't get both, right? You get the valedictorian and things have come easy, but no, he's a grinder. He's going to get down to business. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. I did not. Who were the pitchers on the first team?
Remind us, Callie. It was obviously Hayden Smith, number one.
Hayden Smith, yeah, and then Cal Steven from Mississippi
State.
Yeah. I'm not going to criticize everybody, but there's room for Ryan Prager there. There's no question.
No.
There's no question. That's surprising.
Talking to Tom Hart here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. So, Tom, how do you think success in Hoover translates to the rest of the postseason? Because obviously some of the top seeds, they just want to get their game in and get out. No, they'd like to take a trophy. A&M absolutely would want to win it all. But how you play in Hoover, maybe for the teams that are not guaranteed to be hosting a regional?
Well, I think it goes a long way, but there's this delicate balance in that as long as usually if you're an elite team, you have pitching depth, so it's okay. Like, you can get through a handful of games. You can, those top four seeds, okay, we can play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've got the depth. We've played 5 games in a week, during the course of the season. Maybe you get lucky and you get a run rule victory and you can save an arm here or there. It's the other teams are playing the first day that it really taxes because, like, for example, Ole Miss is, to get in, first of all, they have to stay above 500. They have to climb above 500 and stay there. I think they have to make it Sunday to even have a chance. Their pitching depth just isn't made up to go on a deep run like that, play so many consecutive games and to do it well. And there's two schools of thought. Even when Arkansas was really good, when South Carolina was playing for national titles, those coaches were old school, like, man, we don't even want to be here. Just 2 and Q, let's get back to the house, let's get a day of rest, and let's get ready for a regional. And I understand that part of it. But as long as your pitching is lined up in a way and your first 3 starters are lined up in a way that they don't get overtaxed, the bullpen doesn't get overused, then it's a perfect tune-up. And I think there are other teams in the same category that, like LSU, of the years where they come here and it means something and it matters and they play hard as a team and their fans are in the stands going nuts for them. It's kind of the kickoff to a big postseason run. So it doesn't guarantee anything, and it doesn't doom you. But it depends on the makeup and the mentality of your team and what you need in a given moment and what you can survive.
Talking to Tom Hart here on TexAgs Radio. Tom, I'm turning our attention to football. I was reading an article on Missouri, why people weren't sold that they could duplicate the success that they had last year. What about you, somebody who knows that program really well? What do you think? Can they duplicate last season? Can they live up to a top 10 team this year?
Well, now all of a sudden you have the pressure on you, right? Now you have a bullseye on your back. You're not surprising anybody, and I think that brings with it a different level of pressure. I didn't see the same article. I'm going to try to look for it this afternoon. But they have a quarterback that's healthy. They have a wide receiver core that's really good. And on paper, replacing a walk-on running back should not be that hard. Now, it ends up the guy that led the SEC in rushing, and he turned into one of the most valuable pieces we've seen. But that's a guy who was a Division II running back just a few years prior, and nobody knew who he was. So theoretically, on the offensive side, yeah, you should be able to and primed to do it. But I always look at that stuff and think, okay, you can't just handicap one team. I mean, you've got to handicap everybody on their schedule, and then ask yourself, okay, what's possible? Like, because where is the surprise team going to come on the schedule, and who on that schedule is going to have a down year that is going to give you a couple of wins that maybe you didn't expect? But I think they're well poised to do so. I wouldn't say that they're as well poised or well built as, say, Ole Miss in terms of repeating what was a great year. Like mid-tier programs that had great years have a really hard time repeating that. They just typically don't have the depth to do so. I think Ole Miss is poised to take another step and be even better. And Missouri's going to have some things go their way to be able to replicate it.
Tom, could A&M be that surprise team on Missouri's schedule that is, that is better than what we've expected the last couple of years? They were that 10-win hopeful team that wins 5 games, right? Can A&M this year be that team that maybe does spoil the season for Missouri?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that a lot of that is going to be, I don't want to say dictated early, but like there could be great momentum coming out of that open weekend. I love having Mike Elko in the booth the other day. He's just so grounded and so normal, and he gets what he's walking into because he's been there, and it's an appealing place to play to get recruits and get guys out of the portal, and he's got a quarterback. That's the number one thing. I think that was the big thing with Missouri. Is the question was, do they have a quarterback? And at the time, Brady Cook was coming off of a year where he was subpar, and very few people understood just how injured he was. So to me, that's the number one step in being that surprise team, like being more efficient offensively than people think, and a guy who can raise the game of those around him and turn your, I don't want to say average, but turn your okay player into having great seasons because you get them the ball in the right place. And I think Connor can do that.
Tom, do you really think with this potential NCAA settlement that could happen as early as this week, they're really going to get rid of walk-ons? Is that really the direction we're going to go?
I can't imagine. I don't know. I don't see the value of that. I look at some of these decisions that are being made. What's behind that? What's the value of that? In fact, I just had this discussion last week when I was in College Station about the getting rid of the scholarship limits for baseball, and that seemed to me, and I think the general audience looks at that and says, well, why are you adding cost at a time where, it's great for baseball, don't get me wrong, but if you're an administrator, why would you wish to add costs in a span where you're going to dedicate $20 million a year to your revenue sharing, if not more? And the answer is, well, because if you don't, then they're going to sue you, and they're going to take you back to court, and it's litigation. I don't know what purpose that serves. I mean, to me, you just open yourself up to even more litigation. Someone says, hey, you cost me an opportunity to go play college football because, I wasn't one of the 85 best, but I still would have had this chance, and you were capping the market. Because walk-ons make money too, right? Every walk-on, for example, on Kentucky's basketball team last year, every walk-on got paid significant money. They got 5 figures. So if you're capping that market, that breaks a couple of federal laws, and then next thing you know, more litigation. So what argument are they giving for it? What's the point?
Cost cutting. That's it. That's the only thing I've read. Cost cutting, because they want to get it to 85, and they're trying to find ways for the $20 million, and that's one of the ways.
85. Here's the thing: 85 is not enough. Like NFL teams play with 65 on Sunday, but we all know the roster is bigger than that. And oh, by the way, they have a practice squad. And oh, by the way, if they have a kicker go down or they need another corner, they pick up the phone and call an agent. And there's 6 guys on a flight Monday morning to come work out and see who you can get. College football doesn't have the luxury of just picking up the phone and calling free agents to show up. And if you have an expanded playoff already, it's not going to go the other way. You look at the number 85, and that looks pretty big. That is not enough to get through everything they ask those guys to do and to play, over the course of a semester, a full semester, then a third of another semester.
Hey, Tom, last thing for you. And I know we've talked Dabo a few times on this show, but is he becoming a caricature of himself? Because, like, this doubling down and, like, it almost feels like an act, right?
Yeah, it does. There's different ways to skin a cat, I suppose. What's surprising is that you built this empire, and you've done it a lot of the right ways, and they've won a lot of games, and they've won national championships. That nobody there says, forget about perception. Nobody there says, "Hey, I just ran the numbers, and every other top 25 team has taken a transfer. What do they know that we don't know?" Like, if you just surround yourself with people that say, "Yes, great idea, sir. Yes, great idea," eventually your empire's going to crumble. And so I guess I'm surprised that there aren't some people in that building that could say, "Hey, let's sit down and have a glass of milk and a cookie and talk over this, and this really makes sense."
Tom, I lied to you. I did want to bring up one thing. How was the Gig'em dog? I saw that during the rain and the delay, you tried the Gig'em dog. How was that?
Okay, full disclosure, I didn't get to the Gig'em dog. I had a cheeseburger that was a mac and cheese burger.
Oh, that sounds good.
My cholesterol shot through the roof after that. So I pushed the dog to the side. The food just kept coming. It kept coming all weekend. It was amazing.
Well,
it was the wrapped sausage was the best thing I've ever had. It was. They need to put that on the menu at the Republic. I mean, it's that good. It deserves a spot.
Full disclosure, I have not had a hot dog since 1984. That's a fact.
Stick with it, Dabo. Just do you.
Thank you, Tom. Talk to you soon, bro.
All right, David. Be good, buddy.
See you. Tom Hart there, SEC Network. My buddy, Billy's buddy, TexAgs' buddy, A&M's buddy. All right, we're going to hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we'll do some more SEC storylines, get into all the good stuff that's going on there. All right, this is the absolute worst time of year for you to be dealing with joint pain. I know it. Like, if you want to be out there throwing the ball, playing catch, I don't know, tackle football as an old man, whatever you like to do, play golf, you don't have joint pain, especially if you can get rid of the joint pain, and there is a simple way to do that. That's by calling the good people there at QC Kinetics. If you want to go hiking, if you want to go jogging, biking, playing on the beach, whatever it may be, you don't want that joint pain to stop you, and they're going to take care of you there by using your body's own biologics to give you new life into those achy joints in your knees, in your hips, in your back, in your shoulder. Regenerative medicine protocols can restore and repair that damaged tissue. And by the way, there's no surgery, there's no downtime, there's no drugs. It's just an easy way to get back to doing what you love to do. The future of medicine is right now, and tens of thousands of QC Kinetic patients around the country are living their best life. You got to call them up right now for your free consultation. Revolutionary treatments are here for joint pain. The number is 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That is 979-452-6000. Hola, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. I want to remind everybody about preseason kickoff. You can still register for it. It's going to be Saturday, July 27th, and we've had open registration for a little bit. But you want to go. It's brought to you by Power 5 Financial, by the way. It's going to be a cool event. We're working on all of our speakers, but you know the typical cast of characters, right? Like last year we had Ross, the athletic director. Now we'll try to get Trev out there. We got Schloss. We've got Mike Elko. We've got Buzz Williams, all expected to be there. So it'll be a great event. It'll be the way to kick off the upcoming football season right after SEC Media Days, which I believe, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, SEC Media Day is like July 14th-ish it begins?
Yeah, I think
that sound right, Cal?
Yeah, I think that's when it starts, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. And then, I think A&M, if I remember correctly, and I do, it's the last day. So we'll have all week to do our broadcast from there, have a good time. And if you want to, the week after, hang out with us at preseason kickoff, just go to texags.com/kickoff, get your preseason kickoff tickets. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie Gardner's there with some text messages to read. Callie, dime algo. Mike?
Mike, you care if we go around the SEC really fast?
We can take your time.
I got some interesting things to get into really quickly.
Okay.
First, I want to get maybe Bronny or Richard's opinion, or maybe they can explain this better than I can. But I know that the SEC tournament, they're using the double first base,
yes,
which I know we had used it a couple times here in a few non-conference games. And I was trying to do as much research on it. And I know, the player uses the green one, the defender uses the white one. But the interesting thing is, if it's a dropped third strike, the fielder, if they're drawn to the outside of the colored base, then the runner has to use the white base, and the fielder has to use the colored base. And I've seen a lot of controversy on it on Twitter, and I don't know if I have an opinion on it, but I'm sure Bronny could explain why it's super beneficial. I know that the main reason is to avoid injuries.
Safety,
and
yeah. Here's my opinion. All right, I don't have an opinion either. I really don't know. If they think it's going to be safer for the athletes, cool. I don't think we have to mess things up, guys. Like, baseball's been played forever, right? I'm sure there are injuries. There's injuries when you sneeze. We're going to outlaw sneezing? I know that's true, right? People have gotten hurt sneezing.
Oh, yeah.
Am I making that up?
No, definitely not.
I think it's when you get to 50 and above, so it's coming for me soon. But we don't have to change everything. We just don't. I'm sure Bronny, Zane, a baseball guy, will be able to tell me why this is brilliant. It's like kickoffs. I get it. We're changing kickoffs. We don't want our guy. I understand all of it. I do love the sport we've played for a long time and watched, right? So I don't give me a compelling reason. I'll rethink this thing. This is not a hot sports take. My initial thoughts are some things you don't have to change.
Yeah.
What else?
I agree. Interesting. This made me feel old, even though I'm not old. Auburn extended an offer to 2028 running back Chris Davis III.
I know where you're going with this. Kick six just made me feel really old.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Yes, I was 12 when this game was played, and I remember this game. So his dad is the kick six star.
When was it? I feel like that was in the last 10 years.
2013 Iron Bowl, so 11 years. Well, 10 years from this past football season, yeah.
10 years?
Yeah.
How old is his son?
He's an incoming freshman.
In high school?
Yes. Which I didn't even know.
So incoming freshman means he's 15.
Yes.
Which means mathematically
he was
he probably had the child when he was a 17-year-old.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, because he would have been 3 or 4, 3 or 4, something around there, whenever the play happened. His dad played in 46.
Kick six does not feel like it was 10 years ago. It just doesn't.
Yeah, no, because usually growing up, you don't remember a lot of things, but I was old enough to remember this game and this play and the aftermath of all of it. And so it's just a little crazy that has a son who's now been offered by Auburn and hasn't even played a snap of high school football and has already been extended an offer to come play for them. So just really interesting news there. And then I know some of us have been following the story a little bit, but a former University of Football Florida recruit, Jaden Rashada, is suing Coach Billy Napier along with the big-time Gator booster and others, claiming they defrauded him out of millions of dollars, backing out of a promise of $13.85 million agreement that after he turned down offers tied to other programs. And I know there's like a big timeline.
$13 million?
Yeah.
Tell me that was over multiple years, please.
I don't really know the actual details, but I know he had like committed to Miami, and then one of the donors tweeted something about Florida, it being a good day for Florida, like 4 months later, and then he signed a contract with their collective that promised him, $13.85 million over 4 years. And it required him to sign autographs, participate in fan engagement events, make sponsored social media posts, and also called for a $500,000 payment due on or before December 5th, which was less than a month after he signed his original agreement.
So interesting.
Yeah,
look, I remember when that whole thing was going on. It's amazing how the shelf life of these hot sports stories have like the very small shelf life, right? Because this was a huge deal a couple months back where like this could be the end of Billy Napier, and it might end up costing him. But like every story, I feel like you're going to go through 360 degrees in a year when it comes to like a college football program. You're going to go from this could be their year. They're going to fire their coach by the end of September. Every program's got like this. They get their little moment to shine. Recently, I've been seeing positive things about Florida. Hey, Florida's going to be different this year. At the end of the day, this story right here could really haunt them. Anything else,
absolutely.
Callie?
A text message from Mike in Deer Park about the double first base says, this doesn't change everything. The double first base works. As a retired athletic trainer, I think it should be used.
Okay. Appreciate that, Mike. Look, I'll take your thought process there because you've been close to the action. What I just think is like certain sports we don't have to play with. There's certain things that we don't have to change. I know the 3-point line in basketball came later, but like we don't have to add a 4-point line because people hit threes at an alarming rate now. Like we don't have to necessarily change kickoffs. I understand that they are overtime when they initially maybe it's better. I don't know. Like certain things you just play the game. Just play the game. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. I kind of want to go through this NCAA potential agreement, House versus NCAA, and some of the ramifications of it. On3 had a really nice breakdown of how it all is going to play out. So I'll hit some of the key points in that. We'll get to more of your text messages at 979-693-1150. You're listening to TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Callie, help me out here. We got a national champion team in tennis, right?
Tennis.
Yep. We had a national champion golfer yesterday, right? And women's golfer, Adela. What else have we done really well this week?
Aggie softball.
Aggie softball's great.
Yeah, they defeated Texas State twice in one day, or twice in one weekend, and they lost to them earlier this year, and they didn't allow a single run to them at a regional. So
I forget how many other national champions we've commented on. Fishing. What else did we say yesterday? There was a bunch that we mentioned, right?
There was a bunch brought up.
The Nick Savage, who's behind the glass, says, "Oh, there's more." What else do we have?
There is more. This is actually women's sports related, kind of bouncing off that theme. And my dad, big rodeo guy, keeping me in the loop. They were the Texas A&M women's rodeo team was the NIRA Southern Region champion this year. They're sending a lot of cowgirls and cowboys to the college national finals rodeo, which is up in Wyoming, I believe, Cheyenne. So we're going to try to get some of them on the show, by the way. Yeah. Big rodeo audience out there. So we're bringing you the content you want. But all around cowgirl was Madeline Richards. She's one of the ones where I want on the show.
Yeah. Maddie.
Maddie. Love her. Gavin French, champion bareback rider. Champion breakaway roper was Madeline Richards. She does a lot.
Maddie.
And this is, third place goat tire, Madeline Richards. And the reserve champion barrel racer, Emma Smith. So just hanging banners everywhere.
We're a banner school. Hey, this has nothing to do with what you just said.
I know, it's okay. They deserve a shout out.
No, they deserve. No, I'm glad you did it, and we're going to get them in the studio here soon. This has nothing to do with that commentary, but it just brought something up. If I remember correctly, you're kind of a Yellowstone guy, but you kind of tapped out, right?
Yeah, the show got way too over the top for me.
Do you ever watch Longmire?
No, David, you know this. I usually don't watch like any TV or anything whatsoever.
Does anybody other than Annalise and myself watch Longmire? Anybody?
Never heard of it.
Huh. I've heard of it. I just never watched it.
I feel like it's your kind of show. I feel like you'd be.
I'm not going to spend the time.
I think
watching.
You remind me of Sheriff Longmire a lot.
Thank you, I guess.
If you watch that show, let me know if I'm the only one who watches it. All right. It's on Netflix, for the record. ESPN released their college football post-spring top 25. And guess who's not on that list, Callie Gardner?
I feel like I know.
The way you said that. A&M's not on there. By the way, I'm just for the record, this is not going to be a complaint about that. It's whatever. Like, I don't care. But I thought I'd read you. I know they put it on our rundown, so I'll read you some of that list. Number 1, Georgia. Yep. Ohio State, number 2. Yep. Texas, 3. Oregon, 4. Notre Dame, 5. All right, so A&M beats them up that first game. I think we'll be talking. Ole Miss, 6. Alabama, 7. Missouri, 8. Utah, 9. Michigan, 10. Florida State, 11. Penn State, NC State, LSU, Tennessee. Now, I want this to be a group discussion when we do this. How many of the schools in the top 15 would you say is based on reputation, not on what they did last year per se? Like, yeah, obviously, because if a team's returning a bunch of players, I think you can use that argument. But Michigan, for instance, they won the national championship last year, obviously. They lose a bunch of talent, but they're one of those programs that you expect to be a mainstay in the top 15. But should LSU be in the top 15? Like, based on what you've seen? I mean, I'm asking you guys. What do you think?
I don't see that.
Okay. Nick, do you see that?
Michigan, you said.
Yep.
Should be in the top.
No, LSU.
I'm sorry, LSU. No. I mean, like, I don't have a huge problem with it, but I can see the argument for both.
I don't see LSU. I mean, but I understand why they are, because as Billy said a couple days ago, like, you know, they have history, right? You have to knock them off of that top spot or one of the top spots based on history, right? I get it. That's why I understand some of the Notre Dame.
Going back to what you just said, I would say 11 of those 15 teams are there because of their name,
right?
Not so much what they have done.
Georgia lost some guys, but they're Georgia. Ohio State spent more money on NIL than anybody, right? I get it. Texas is coming with what they did last season to the SEC, but they're bringing a lot of talent. Oregon has had a lot of success. Notre Dame, that's the name thing. Ole Miss, that is absolutely a roster thing, what they were able to do last year and what they added to it this year. Alabama, reputation, even with a new coach, right? If it was Nick Saban, they'd probably be a couple of spots higher. Missouri, completely based on what they did last year. Utah, history. They're a proud program.
Are they though?
They're proud.
I feel
they're
like they're one of those teams to me every year that's highly ranked going into the preseason or into the season, I should say, and they seem to fall off. But I guess they're going into a Big 12 that's not nearly the conference it was last year. So I can see a world where they dominate and they get into the playoff or something. But that one is weird to me.
Well, Cam Rising coming back healthy. He finished strong last year. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Michigan, as we talked about, they lose a lot of dudes, but they've been recruiting at a very high level. Florida State with DJU now as their quarterback. How do they look? And by the way, they're in the ACC, so I know they play Miami early on. I think the first game of the season, if I remember correctly. You've got NC State finished strong last year. Oh, I missed out on Penn State. Penn State's
that's another one for me. Same boat as Utah, kind of overrated. Will they have an offense this year? That's the one thing that's the question for me with them is, can they actually score points?
And then Tennessee, Nico. We already went through the whole name thing. They'll have a good offense. Will they have a good defense? So interesting. They're the top 15 of the top 25 there.
I mean, the top 25 is a little dicey too. If you want to look at the fact that A&M is not in it, you got, Kansas at 22. They were decent last year. I don't know what they have right now that A&M doesn't have to be in that top 25.
The grossest one is Iowa. At 23, that's pretty gnarly.
Really good defense. Offense has struggled. Miami, they spent a lot of money, and they got Cam Ward as their quarterback. USC, they lost everybody, and they're in the Big Ten. I don't know enough about the rest of their roster. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State at 18-19. I'm not sold on Oklahoma. Tell me why I should be. I know there's somebody from the Sooners listening that would tell me. I think with that schedule, and they haven't been that impressive the last couple of years, but we'll see. Arizona, I understand. So, yeah, interesting there. All right, this is what I wanted to do now is I want to get into this. We could have the new college football ramifications, like starting college athletics, I should say, real soon, because they're expecting the House versus NCAA settlement to happen this week. On3 did a great job of kind of answering some questions that people are having, like what this could look like this week, what it could look like over the next couple of months. But lawyers are working on this agreement. They've been doing it for 9 months. I didn't realize that had been going on that long. But they're expected to meet later this week, the NCAA Board of Governors. And the Big Ten is supposed to be there in person, while the others were also going to have a vote. But the details of the settlement have brought disagreement. So the Big East, I know they don't matter, but their commissioner, Val Ackerman, is not happy about it at all. She has strong objection. And she argues that the 22 non-FBS Division I conferences will be on the hook for back pay agreement. That'll be mostly distributed to football players. Yahoo Sports did a whole deep dive, and they were able to get a bunch of documents on here. And it says that the NCAA designed a formula based on the amount of distribution that the league earned over a 9-year period starting back in 2016. And the Big East would be responsible for roughly $5 to $7 million annually, or $70 million over the decade, right? So this is what's going to happen. This process, regardless of the settlement, is not going to be quick. It looks like here's a little note that the judge who's been assigned to it, Claudia Wilkin, is playing out in California, Northern District, and apparently she will not support a framework prohibiting athletes from entering future lawsuits. So this is the big one, but there could be potential for more. This is not going to allow for the NCAA just to move on like, hey, we took care of it. There's a possibility of more that could happen. And the other huge question says that Title IX how unclear it's going to be, how they're going to be factored into the payouts, right? How distribution could be split. If everything does go well this week, the soonest that this structure could happen is as early as next season. But you know how these things work. Nothing ever happens as fast. But the hope and the plan is for this new structure of this new college athletics world, as Billy told us, I think a couple of months ago, to happen as soon as the 2024-25 season. This is why you're seeing A&M and other schools making some of these changes. So On3 goes on to say, what is it going to look like for college football? And basically, they're already starting to calculate how revenue sharing would be dispersed inside of a football program. Roster limits are another item on the minds. Currently, teams have 85 scholarships and are able to carry 115 players, something that we talked about with Tom Hart early in the show. But walk-ons could be eliminated, which is a top concern amongst college coaching ranks out there. It still needs to be sorted. Also, collectives have created a competitive environment because you have the Miamis, the Oregons, the Tennessees, the Texases, and, of course, the A&Ms. So those are all part of what is happening right now. So all this is happening potentially this week. Now, it's not going to all be ironed out this week, but we could have a decision by Thursday of this week, and then they're going to have to continue what they've already been working on of what it looks like moving forward. And again, I think the takeaway is this is not going to be the only suit, right? The NCAA could still, it might quiet some folks, but just the fact that they're dangling that carrot like this judge is not going to say this is it. And by the way, NIL isn't going anywhere. So basically what it is NIL is still going to be a thing, hopefully not the determining factor, but NIL is absolutely going to be the thing. But then there's going to be this other revenue stream for athletes that play at these schools. And that is going to happen probably as soon as next season, as soon as the 25-26 season. Not for I think I said earlier 24-25. I meant 25-26 because obviously the 24 season is just a couple of months away. So that is all happening right now. And we'll know probably in the next couple of years. I mean, couple of days, not a couple of years, next couple of days. Interesting that all this, it feels like it's been so slow moving, this entire process. It feels like it's, because I remember when I took the job here in 21, like this is all starting to come down. And like, to me, it feels slow. But then all of a sudden it's gaining this momentum. Like, last summer, I think it was, Nick Saban going to Congress and like, we've got to make some changes. And here we are now. These changes are really close to happening, and the world of a professional, semi-pro college football program could be here as quick as next season, a year from now season, not this upcoming season. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with your final thoughts, some text messages, and anything else we can think about here in the final segment of TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, guys, it's time to end the day with Double Dave's. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave, serving Aggieland since 1984. They have your favorite pizza. They have your favorite world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. I do want to make mention that I said something about Longmire, and the people are responding. Let's see. Dave says, Nuño's correct. Longmire's a good show. Travis, the books are good also. So see, there's at least two people that agree with me when it comes to Longmire, which is, here's my problem with, tell me if you guys are on the same page. I think HBO, AMC, Netflix, they have all ruined network television for me. So like the shows like the CSIs of the world, like those shows that are like, 45 minutes, the entire, like you can watch any episode, any season, and you don't need to know that much of the backstory because these stories are all told in 45 minutes. I don't like that. I like for stories to kind of, and Longmire has a little bit of that, to be honest with you, but I like stories to like the build, and you have to like watch from the beginning. I don't like CSI, like you can watch any of them. It's the same show every time. Callie, feels like you're about to say something.
No, I agree with you though.
Thank you.
I don't, well, I mean, I guess it's like different when it's like a show like that versus like just like a comedy show.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Friends is very like the same thing over and over again. But I could watch Friends every day of the week. So
Can you watch Seinfeld every day of the week?
I might be able to. I don't really know anything about Seinfeld.
Wait. How do you not know anything about the greatest show comedy of all time? How do you not know? Like but you'll watch Friends, which is from the same era.
I don't know. I just get stuck on one thing. Like, see, I don't like The Office. I know that's very like, I think it's like Friends or The Office in my opinion. I grew up watching The Office when I was like 6 with my mom, and I know a lot of the jokes went right over my head, but I would stay up till like midnight watching The Office with her. And then I don't know what day it got shifted to Friends, and I've never looked back.
Hey, I do want to end with sports, but one other thing, that whole topic. I was shocked to learn Jerry Seinfeld is 70 years old. Like that's, maybe for you youngsters, I was like, yeah, of course he is. Like, I think of Jerry as a 50-year-old, eternal 50-year-old, right? Like when I watched him on Seinfeld, I think he was late 30s, early 40s. So obviously the math adds up. Like but he's 70. And I don't think of him as a 70-year-old man. I don't know if that's shocking anybody, or maybe it's just me because I'm with a bunch of kids. But, and Larry David, you know who Larry David is?
Yes, I do.
And you've watched Curb, right?
No, I have not.
See, our friendship's ending. Larry David is 78 years old. It's weird that people that I love are old. Like old. Sorry, oldies. But like, I don't think of Larry David in that. I know he's always looked like he's prehistoric, but I don't think of Jerry Seinfeld that way. I don't think of Larry David that way. How old is Chris Rock? Got to be in his 50s, right?
For sure.
I was told Joe Rogan is 58. Like, he's that old? Does he look old to you?
No.
Okay. You know Joe.
Unfortunately, the only reason I know Larry David is because he was a guest star in Hannah Montana, and maybe Kay can back me up on that. But that's where I know him from.
Larry David was on Hannah Montana?
Mm-hmm. He was someone's dad. Not Hannah's, obviously.
Are we sure that we're talking about the same Larry David?
Yes, 1,000%.
Okay. All right. So here's the deal, guys. Women's tennis still trying to win some singles titles. Mark Weaver is there. I texted back and forth with him during the show. And when they get back in town, he will come by studio. Looking forward to talking to him and them about the national championship run. What a phenomenal run. But he's still working, as is Garrett Chadwell and the Aggie women's golf team that have a chance to win a national championship. That would end tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, the championship match would start at 4:00 tomorrow.
Yeah, so hopefully they can take it home there. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio. Here's another programming update. Texting back and forth with Scott Livingstone. He's gotten me the phone number for a certain home run leader in A&M history that maybe we'll be getting on the show here very, very soon. So we're looking forward to doing that. That's going to do it here for TexAgs. My thanks to all of our great guests today here on the program. We had a bunch of people on there. We had Olin. Olin was certainly on shrooms this 8 o'clock hour. Charean Williams was on the show. Chris Gordy, back and forth. That was a good conversation. Appreciate Chris breaking it all down. And as I mentioned, Scott Livingstone, he was awesome. All right, that's going to do it. I have a loaded show for you tomorrow. It's Wednesday. I think Bronny will be calling us there from Hoover. We'll have John Harris on the program. And we'll have Jason Howell on the program doing Recruiting Country. That's going to do it. We'll see you mañana.